Welcome back to the Heat Check Podcast. I am your host, Chris Patrick, and it is a milestone episode 40, baby. It is Friday, June 27th, 2025. A rare, possibly the only Friday recording of the Heat Check Podcast we've ever done, but I'm excited to be back. No VSP Tallman, as you can see. We have a special guest. We'll get to the intros in a second. Just want to give you a high overview of what we're going to chat about today. The NBA draft, of course, just took place this last week, so we got to break it down. And the Phoenix Suns, their 3 picks that they had in this draft. The Kevin Durant trade fallout. Yes, Kevin Durant was traded to the Houston Rockets, as many of you probably know by now. We're going to break that down, share our thoughts on that. And then some news in the Arizona Diamondbacks world. They got a stadium deal that passed through the House. The governor signed it this evening. So very excited. Our team is not moving to Utah. They're not moving to Oregon or any other state. They're staying right here in Arizona and downtown Phoenix. And then since it's episode 40, milestone here, co-host here, Mike, suggested that we break down a little bit of a list. He said, what type of list should we do? So we're going to do our favorite sports video games. I think top 3, top 5. We'll see when we get there. But enough of the intro. I got to introduce the fellas here. We have Dave Portnoy's substitute pizza reviewer, East Coast Mike. It's Michael Benjamin.
Give me a good paisan one time for the people. Gentlemen, episode 40 and a special guest, Niko. Good to have you here, my brother. It was about time. I think I was looking back at our lives. It was almost to the date 2 years ago that Niko made his appearance for Valley Sports Plug. So it's a pleasure for you to be here, man. We're excited to get into it today.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Let's not bury the lead. The only second guest in Heat Check podcast history, as if you don't know, this is our in-person podcast. We do it once a month right here on our YouTube page, audio streaming services, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You guys know where to find us in the description below. But yes, we have Post Malone's tour bus driver. It's Neeks, Niko.
What is up, guys? It is great to be here in Studio B. I am loving the vibes. It's an interesting time to be an Arizona sports fan, as I feel like I say all too often.
Yeah, it always is.
Yeah, man, it's a roller coaster, right? You got the highs and the lows, and then we get so low with the Suns that when we get the slightest sliver of hope, fans are jumping out the gym. I mean, guys, let's just get right into it. Talk about the NBA draft. People are ecstatic about how the draft went down. We're what do I say, Mike? I think I've said put the horse before the cart accidentally before, but let's not put the cart before the horse. Of course, we're going to talk about the Kevin Durant trade, but this kind of ties into it in a sense where within that trade, we got the number 10 pick back from the Houston Rockets, which is funny because that was our pick that traveled around the globe and came back to us. It went all the way out to the East Coast where you were just at in Brooklyn, New York.
Yep. Then
the Nets traded it to the Houston Rockets, and then the Rockets traded it back to us for Kevin Durant. So getting our own pick back for Kevin Durant is kind of crazy. But putting that aside,
the word you're looking for.
A little bit asinine. Yeah, no, but putting that aside, Mike, what do you know about the big man, Khaman Maluach out of Duke?
Well, first and foremost, guys, I feel like I'm in Blue's Clues because I got my handy-dandy notebook over here. But it's filled with a lot of good stuff, and we're going to start with the big man, Khaman Maluach. First and foremost, what a name. Second,
incredible.
Lots of tears. Love to see emotion from a guy like that.
Smiling cry, too.
It was incredible, man. His whole family was absolutely ecstatic. They just couldn't hold back their emotions, and you can really see how dedicated this young kid is already. But big guy, first year out of Duke, only 18 years old. He turns 19 in September.
Wow.
But 7'2", 250. I think they were saying his wingspan is around 7'9". Just something absolutely absurd. But, they were saying some crazy stuff about one and dones drafted. I think it was the most ever in a first round.
Really?
25 plus guys, if that. But he started every game at Duke, 39 games, averaged 21.3 minutes, shot 71% from the field because what do we know? He is a pick and roll dominating lob threat, right? But he also shot 76% from the free throw line. So he's got a nice stroke. He obviously is going to have to work on stretching that out and being confident about that. But 8.6 points, 6.6 rebounds, 1.3 blocks. And the big thing, I think, which a lot of fans are excited about is his offensive rebounding mentality, which is where the Phoenix Suns in general have struggled for the past 2.5 years. So
historically,
we got two other guys that we're going to get into, but Khaman Maluach. Yeah, I love it.
Dude, I'm about it. And honestly, shout out Ian Kruger, who joined us on our roundtable on Tuesday. This is the guy he pinpointed that the Suns should, target should he be available. And I'm looking at the mocks. I was like, I don't think he's going to be available. I think he's going to go, 7 or 8. He was available. I know a lot of people had pegged the Suns to get Derek Queen, but it sounds like this was the guy that you wanted over Derek Queen, who fell much later. I think he was like late teens.
13. He went
13.
to New Orleans. Yeah.
There's a lot of questions around Derek Queen too, as far as like fitness,
and I think some character issues as well. Yeah.
And I'm just happy we didn't go with another number 25 out of Maryland, because if you guys think about it,
no, thank you on the Maryland.
Alex Len and Sticks, Jalen Smith, both from Maryland, both number 25. Let's not make it a three-peat.
Yeah, if anything, like especially all the curses we already have in the Valley, we don't need the 25 Maryland curse as well. But so Ian called it. But Maluach, Niko, what do you think? Is that obviously it sounds like based off that little interaction there, definitely the better pick than Derek Queen. But was there anyone else that you might have wanted them to target instead?
Yeah, I mean, I know they were looking at the guy who got drafted by Toronto right before. I believe his reaction to getting drafted to Toronto was, fuck, man.
Yep.
Which is always inspiring whenever your new draftee gives you that. So at least we didn't get that. We got happy tears.
Yeah.
But honestly, man, I thought that they were going to go for him. I wanted man from Duke. I wanted man, bro. He's a man. I wanted man. He's a big boy. I think there's a lot of room for growth. I think there's a lot of potential. Maybe this is years of growing up with a grandfather who loved Suns basketball but could never figure out why we never had a center. I love the idea that we're out here on the 10th pick picking a big man. Like you mentioned, we've done it before and we've fallen on our face a couple of times. But I don't know, man. I think the, like Mike said, the pick and roll ability, it gives a lot of excitement. We need to have a fucking point guard.
Yeah,
that can run a pick and roll, but man, I like it, and I'm not gonna down the first draft pick, but we'll get down this list here a little bit, and we'll have some conversation.
What, Niko? You didn't love the Jake Zakalidis years,
dude? Jake Zakalidis was my
the Jake Voskuhl era.
Oh.
Come on, man.
Pat Burke, brother.
I mean, and say what you say. We've had plenty of conversations in our 3+ years on Valley Sports Plug, specifically about DeAndre Ayton, but ever since his departure, this team has been searching for athleticism, for just general good paint touch, for somebody who can kind of create for himself.
Yeah.
And we have not seen that in the 2.5 seasons, 2 seasons that DeAndre Ayton has been gone, and in Niko's other favorite state's team, Portland. Well, Oregon, sorry. Oregon technically is Oregon, but
Get rid of his ass right now too.
So we got to touch on the other two guys, but I think we got to go into the other big move that the Phoenix Suns had, because it really goes in tandem with the decision of taking Maluach there, which was the trade for the Charlotte Hornets big man and Mark Williams. Chris, how'd you feel about that when you saw that news?
Yeah, that was interesting because that news came in after the Maluach pick.
But 2 minutes.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So I know that's it's a head scratcher of you just drafted a center. Now you're drafting another center. Or now you're trading for a center, rather. Definitely a guy who's, out there proven 15-10 kind of guy, can give you those numbers. But the concerns of his injury history, I get weary about guys with injury history. His injuries were so bad that he failed the physical in a trade to the Lakers earlier this season. And I was reading, it was a little bit about a back injury that he had previously, but also at the time of the physical, he also had I think a knee or an ankle injury of some kind, and he couldn't pass the fucking physical. So obviously we're a long time removed from that. He's had time to heal, you would hope. The league year hasn't started. The trade's not official yet, so he still has to pass that physical for this to go through. Now, I don't have any doubt that he will. I always thought the bar was kind of low for that. I obviously don't know what it entails, but that's the first time I'd ever heard of a trade not going through because of a physical failing. I mean, can you guys remember another time?
I don't think I can.
I honestly don't think so. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's if you think about it, it's you think it's just a formality, almost I almost thought they didn't even do it. I thought it was just like lip service. But
what's a physical?
Yeah, he's going in to do the physical. Yeah, exactly.
To turn his head and cough and like
that's what I'm
ask him
saying.
how
You
he's
getting
feeling.
blood
Like,
work done, or are you just getting your nuts grabbed?
Or
What's going on?
just go pee in a cup, make sure it's nothing. If
Yeah,
there's weed
yeah,
in there
drug
now,
test,
it's
right.
fine. But as long as there's nothing else in there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, so right off the rip, that's a little concerning. But I think the idea is probably like you said, he's 18, going to be Maluach's 18, going to be 19 years old. I mean, we already know it's going to be a tough year. No playoff expectations, like bar low expectations. Like, why not roll him out there to get experience? But now you get to try to be competitive, and I think that's what Ishbia wants with how hyper competitive he's already been through his actions. So he figures, you can start. What was it, Mark Williams?
Yep.
You'll start Mark Williams, have Maluach come off the bench. Probably both will get pretty good playing time. Like, you can go real big. You could probably have 2-7. Is the Suns having 2 7-footers out there at the same time? Like,
I don't know how many or how long they'll do the double big man rotations. I think there could be an opportunity to do it, but
won't be frequent.
It won't be frequent. And honestly, I don't even know if I would see much this year. I think you'd see it in maybe 2 or 3 seasons. Specifically, if Maluach can expand his range and start adding a 3-point shot in. I know he's been working on it. We always see the clips of the guys in the gym with nobody's hands up on them, and they're draining 5-6 in a row. But we saw that with Ayton too, and he was scared to shoot from outside. The biggest thing is, if you're going to give you the green light, take the opportunity, right?
True. That's very true. And I don't think having both of them out there at the same time would be supremely beneficial, because it's going to slow down the game significantly as well. So I guess I want to ask you guys, maybe I'll ask Niko first. Do you think it's more likely they go with like a 24-minute split between the centers, or would you expect Williams to get more?
I would probably expect Williams to get more of the load right now.
Yeah.
I also don't think we're quite done. I don't know if we're. I think like at the end of the day, there's still. I need a vet in that position and in the front court in general. So if we can go out and make a big play for a vet and get a guy that's gonna be at least a locker room leader for those guys, and maybe we can talk about a 24-minute split, but right now it's not gonna be that. It's probably gonna be more of like an 80-20.
Really? You think Maluach's only gonna get 20% of the
I don't know, man. We experienced it with Bol, right? Like.
Well, 80-20, if you're talking about that, you're basically saying what, and my math's going to be incorrect here, but 34 minutes to 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think with the way that Maluach fell to 10, right? Because, Chris, you already said it, and everybody said it. Nobody expected this kid to have fallen to 10.
No, yeah.
So you obviously make adjustments, and I'm proud of the Suns for making the proper one, for taking the best player available with the highest ceiling, I think. Everybody rated him as the top rated center. Obviously, there's a lot of work that's going to have to be done. He's 18 years old. Chris, you mentioned it before we even started the pod. He started playing basketball, 5-6 years
Something
ago?
like that, yeah.
So, there's a lot of growth that's going to have to come from him. But Mark Williams last year, you already said it, 15.3 points, 10.2 rebounds in 26.6 minutes. With Williams' injury history, you're going to stretch it longer because he's the de facto starting center, but I don't know, you might be looking at 28, 29 minutes. So then you're looking at Maluach getting around 15 to 17 minutes. And who knows, if they do go the double big, he could stretch into the 20s. And it's obviously going to depend on how he plays to start as well. But hopefully Jordan Ott isn't pulling a Mike Budenholzer where guys get on a good roll and then they bench him like Ryan Dunn and Oso for no fucking reason. Yeah. I'm hopeful for that. But let me say this. As much as we joked, I'm starting to see the vision. And gentlemen, I might just be getting aligned with Brian Gregory as well. Bringing in Mark Williams, who played for a struggling franchise in the Charlotte Hornets, who was still able to be an absolute dominant presence in the middle. If you give him the true opportunity and, make him a focal point of the offensive system, you're looking at a 2014 kind of guy every single night. And that's what we wanted from DeAndre Ayton. But Mark Williams is already at 15 and 10. And, half the time was playing without LaMelo Ball. So,
that's a good point.
Better offensive system, better opportunities. But the reason why I say I'm getting aligned, where you make the move for Mark Williams, he's only 23 years old. He still has a lot of growing to do with himself. But you already touched on it too. 43 games, 19 games, 44 games in his first 3 seasons in the NBA. So taking Maluach at the number 10 position still makes it imperative to bring in Mark Williams, because now you can bring in Maluach a little bit slower than thrusting him into a starting lineup and asking him to do all of these things right out front when you already have a proven commodity. And then hopeful, because what do we always talk about with Devin Booker too? When's the hamstring injury coming?
Yeah.
With Bradley, we're not going to get into Bradley Beal, but when's anything from Bradley Beal coming? When's the injury from Mark Williams coming? You're hopeful that it's maybe 30 games within a season, and then at that point, Maluach has got his feet under him, and he's ready to take on a larger role from there.
Yeah, and I think hopefully you hope the thing with any player that's starts to be labeled injury prone is that, I guess that's a good question, right? Would you rather they have one big injury that keeps them out for a couple months, or would you rather be like a Brad Beal who's perpetually banged up, who he's going to play 2 games, be out for 3? Play 2 or 3, be out for 2,
I don't want anything to do with the Brad Beal archetype. that to me is like a paper cut.
Because how do you get a cohesive rotation
going?
You
don't, because you start to get shit flowing, and then you stop, and then you start, and then you stop, and then I'd rather have a dude out for 2 fucking months.
Yeah, no, and I think that's kind of like what, like you mentioned, Mike, with Devin Booker, is like when he gets injured, he's out for a significant amount of time. Otherwise, he'll play through like the dinks, whatever I'm trying to say.
Dinks
the
works.
Knicks and dinks, whatever. Yeah. When he's dinged up, I think is what I was trying to say. It was like Knicks and dings that I was trying to. Maybe that's what I was trying to say there. But yeah,
you're thinking of dink and dunk, like
dink and dunk. You might be right.
A nice little halfback wheel.
We're
not in the football season yet, Chris. Get your mind out of it.
If we were 90s radio hosts, we'd be dink and dunk. I'd be dink.
Dink and dunk in the morning.
In the morning. Anyway, where was I going with that? So I think going back to what you said a little bit ago, because I think it was fuck you guys. It was important to me is the Jordan Ott being the new head coach is the big wild card here. We don't know his coaching style. We don't know how he's going to use these guys. But within that, Mike, to your point again, Mark Williams injury history. If you get 30 games from him to start, I'd be happy with that. And I would hope to, like you were saying there, guys, that if he does play 30 games and then he's out for 10 or 15, that he comes back and again after that, rather than like Mark Williams played 5 games and then he was out for 3 games and then he played 3 games and then he was out for 5 games, playing that like in and out Bradley Beal archetype that you called it. Cause I can't deal with that shit, man. Like we need a cohesive unit that's rolling out there time after time, but I'll be super interested. We went from beginning of the week, like what are we going to do with all these guards on the roster, to now we have like a lot of centers. Like what are we going to do with Oso Ighodaro? We'll talk about that. But want to keep this pushing while we're talking about the NBA draft, because you might need to break this down, Mike, because I still don't have a firm understanding of all the wheeling and dealing that Brian Gregory was doing. Moved us up to the first pick of the second round with that 31st pick, which it's not a first round pick, but it's kind of a first round pick, because the talent right there in like the bottom half of the first round and the beginning to the middle of the second round is kind of like a crapshoot in a lot of ways. So what was the wheeling and dealing that we did to get us there?
What is it? We just got a letter. I'm not going to sing it, but copyright. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, 3 different trades to start the day, and they were basically within the span of, I don't know, maybe 4 hours, right? So we started off the day by trading 2 future seconds to the Nets. Once again, we have our trade partners that we love. Seems like we love Portland, we love Brooklyn. But now we love Charlotte. We absolutely love Charlotte. But 2 future seconds to the Nets for number 36. Then we went, and our 2 picks that we had to start before everything, 52 and 59, we moved those to the Warriors for 41. And then when I'm sitting there at 36-41, I'm just thinking to myself, there's clearly somebody that they have pinpointed that they really want. And I'm wondering if this is it, or they're going to stick and pick for where they're at. Mm-hmm. Well, then they went and shopped to Minnesota, who had the 31st. We traded 36 and 2 future seconds to the Wolves for that pick, who turned out to be, Chris, you touched on it. The top 5 picks, I would say, in the second round could all be first round talents, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking at different fits and leverage pieces to what works within a team, right? And that's why guys fall. But I think a lot of people were wondering how the hell Rasheer Fleming, the forward out of St. Joe's, fell. And that's why the Suns almost kind of had to sweeten the pot with not just 36 and 41 for 31. They had to give 2 futures to move up to 31 because there was some other teams who seemed to be interested in his services. But Brian Gregory wheeling and dealing in his first NBA draft. I mean, did you guys see that one coming, Niko?
No, I mean, honestly, man, I was at work working a night shift at the ball field, and I was getting all these notifications. Ding, 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 ding. So what the hell is going on?
It's a lot. It was a lot.
And I look down, and it's like, Suns have traded, Suns have traded, Suns have traded, Suns have traded. And I'm like, hold on. Because now we're starting to get like Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover, where I just have all these numbers going on behind me, and I'm trying to digest what was going on. I loved it because, uneducated opinion, but like when I play 2K, I really like to get in there and just make all the trades that I can to get the most amount of draft picks for that draft.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like we were doing, but with a purpose. Like Mike said, they obviously had somebody that they had pinpointed.
Yeah.
The deals were surprising, but like I honestly, at the end of the day, like it's kind of nice to see our name up there when they're talking about like trades and us like going up and getting things instead of just resting on our laurels and suffocating with whatever falls to us. Like it's nice that we were a little aggressive. So I'd say all in all for a first draft, it's a pretty good showing. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking do the ticker tape parade and all that kind of bullshit for him yet. We drafted a bunch of 18-year-olds.
You can't before they ever play a game.
Yeah, we got to also, I know that the pundits and everybody are like, the Suns did them, we grading a draft it's pointless.
Oh, it's funny looking back on them like 5-10 years later.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if you want to really get down to the nitty-gritty, I saw a redraft the other day that had the Suns taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And with the first overall pick, and like that wouldn't have been the case 3 years ago if we redrafted that draft.
That wouldn't have been the case last year. Everybody would have said Luka Doncic.
Yeah, exactly.
So exactly.
Well, it's fun. It's funny. I had to reply to a tweet that Mr. Arizona Sports had where he was like, "Hey, don't be too critical of the Suns draft picks tonight. I know I was critical when the Suns took Devin Booker instead of Frank Kaminsky, and see how that worked out." And I was like, "I hear you." But there's far more examples of them taking the wrong guy than taking the right guy. So it's like, I am not against being cautiously optimistic. I think that's, as best a Valley sports fan can do at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, like, we do have to temper our expectations a little bit, especially with the Phoenix Suns and where they're at right now. But it is like a silver lining in a really dark time for the Suns the last season and a half. To what you guys are talking about with all these moves being made and Brian Gregory being a first-time GM, how much of a factor do you think it was? Do you think he was trying to like make a statement that like he's not going to be a pushover, or he's not going to like just sit on his hands and play it cautiously? You think it was like a statement thing, or do you think he's just looking at it like, I'm getting to work, I'm building this roster?
I would say I think that he's getting to work. I don't think he cares about making a statement, especially with the way that he was introduced as a first-time GM with truly no experience. And how does he really get this job like everybody thinks? It's because he's a Michigan State guy who coached Matt Ishbia. Does it have a role to play in it? 100%, guys. But he also understands that. That's why I say it's him getting to work, because he doesn't care. He knows. He even said it in his press conference that was kind of part of it, right? My relationship that I've built with Matt Ishbia over the past 2-3 decades, that's why they're already aligned to start. And, getting on that same page so early, especially where you sit, the biggest thing still is this second apron thing. It's like the way the Phoenix Suns have to get creative is exactly what they had to do, the way that they did it the past 2 days, especially in the second round, because you got to take swings at some of these guys to see if they're going to be rotational pieces, because you're going to have to pay pennies on the dollar for a lot of contributing players for this team, especially if you can't get off Bradley Beal. So I think he got to work, and I think he started well.
No, I'd agree. And a lot of youth on this roster now. We talked about all the moves made to get up to that 31st pick. But now we got to talk about the pick. It was Rasheer Fleming, forward out of Dayton?
St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph's. There we go. I knew it was one of those small.
You want me to just run it down?
Yeah, Mike, break it down for us.
3 seasons at St. Joe's, 20 years old, 6'9", 240. Another guy who has crazy wingspan,
Like
7'5".
7'5". Wow.
All he did was uptick every season. That was kind of I like these last 2 picks that the Suns made as well because they're guys who had some time in college, right? 3 seasons at St. Joe's.
Sure.
I think his first season he averaged like 5.9 points, then 10, then this past season 14.7 points, 8.5 rebounds, 1.5 blocks as well. The other thing that we have been searching for the past 3 seasons is the damn power forward. And this kid is a power forward, right? He can play big, but he can stretch, which you have to do in today's NBA. You have to have bigs who can shoot from outside. Look at Naz Reid, who just got a huge bag from the Minnesota Timberwolves. You need those kind of guys in today's league, but 39% 3-point percentage on 159 attempts last year at St. Joe's. A lot of people were saying he still has to work off, his on the dribble moves a little bit. Sometimes he gets a little flat-footed. He's not as quick, but he's 6'9", 6'10", 240. That's a big dude to be moving around a lot of weight.
Good Lord.
Athleticism seemed to be a big key for what the Phoenix Suns were doing in the front court. And like we already talked about, this guy was a clear-cut first-round talent. A lot of people were saying he was in the top 20 of a lot of people's boards.
I heard that, yeah.
So to get him where you did and to maneuver the way that you did, very hopeful. And as you would say, the famous Christopher Patrick words, we are highly cautiously optimistic there.
That's it.
How about that?
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, are you on the cautiously optimistic train, Niko?
I'm never on the cautiously.
It's okay because you're cautious, right? You don't have to dive all the way in.
You can be cautious and not be optimistic.
True.
I will be cautiously optimistic when we have a better look out of our roster.
That's fair.
Right now, I think there's still a lot of question marks that I need answered. There's a lot of, you hear all the murmurs of Bradley Beal and who's interested in what, and I would like to know a little bit more what this team is going to look like, maybe a little more solidly before I get into being cautiously optimistic. However, with Fleming, I can get down the floor, can move. I don't know, man. It does seem like we are targeting the right type of player. It's just it's the draft, so whether that roll of the dice actually pays off or not, better question.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
The way that Niko just broke down his cautiously uncautious, optimistic not optimism, that doesn't make any sense, but walk with me here, people. This is how every Phoenix Suns fan should honestly feel right now.
Yeah.
You should be happy with what they did, bringing in some pieces that could be contributors, hopefully one day, maybe an all-star or two. But they haven't played a minute in the NBA yet. And I will say, Twitter is a wonderful place, but it is a completely unfactual place.
Correct.
At the end of the day as well, because, and I'm not going to try and shoot down any of these, big Phoenix Suns Twitter pages, but you would think that we just got the next greatest Hall of Famer most of the time with any moves they make. And a lot of it is for engagement farming, right?
Definitely.
Be happy with the Phoenix Suns looking to get younger, more athletic, more dynamic at different positions, larger. Yes, you're starting to attack the positions of need, but free agency hasn't even started. You're still stuck in the second apron. What kind of veterans that could make a difference? Like Niko talked about, could we even bring in at this point for veterans minimum? Because Lord knows we have swung and missed a hell of a lot the past 3 years. So yes, have your cautious optimism, but there is just so much work still to be done for this roster. Be happy. And I think you already talked about it, Chris. It's a light in such a dark moment.
Yep.
But remember, we are still in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we are, what's June, July, August, September? We're 4 months away from NBA basketball returning. It literally, the finals just ended 2 weeks ago, then last week, the week before last. So lot of road ahead of us, and I do want to get into that and speculating on what this next Suns roster is going to look like. But we have to get out of the draft first, and that means we have one more pick left in this 2025 NBA draft. And it's funny that this is the most, I think, here at Valley Sports Plug we've ever talked about second round draft picks, and most of the like NBA fans in general don't often talk about second round draft picks. But Mike, there's reasons to be excited about Koby Brea, right?
Yep. Guard from Kentucky. I think this was the one that you got flipped with Rasheer Fleming. Spent his first 4 seasons at Dayton.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
So 5th year senior at Kentucky, Book's old stomping grounds. Still young guy, 22 years old, 6'7", 215. It might be the best shooter in the draft class, a lot of people are saying. 11.6 points, 3.2 rebounds, shoots 43.5% from 3. So a little undersized if you try and play him at the 3. We already know that the shooting guard position is completely filled at this point. The guys that are on the roster.
Yeah.
This is a perfect guy who is a two-way player who's going to get some time with the G League, continue to grow, and hopefully one day down the road have an opportunity, if anything, can be a tradable asset, because the way that the league is today, if you can't shoot to some capacity or have true athleticism or size, you don't stick around in the game. So, there's always people who need a spot-up shooter in the corner or somebody that can get the ball off of a swing and knock it down when they're asked to do that. And, Koby did that in his 5 seasons in college, has, plenty of experience playing at a high level, and especially this last season with Kentucky. Great pick. I think you got a good opportunity to see what this kid can do at 41.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, you got the pick, you got the player. You are, like, to your point from earlier, you're going to need more flexibility money-wise to build this roster out. So even if he sits at the end and has to take some time to develop, now that we have our G League affiliate again in the Valley Suns, you have the ability to do this, and I think it's really good. You don't think about basketball teams building a farm very much, because very infrequently do guys come up and make an impact. But there's a lot of teams where like those role players are somewhat of like they shift the role players can shift the needle, I guess is what I'm saying, because that was the crux of the Suns last 2 years, is we had all the stars in the world, but we had no role players. And so to start thinking about these second round picks, like these could be the future role players of the Suns. Do want to kick it to Niko for his thoughts, but just off the cuff here, do either of you know if Koby has the ability to play the 1 spot?
That I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't know exactly, but I honestly wouldn't count on it.
Yeah.
It sounded like
he's a shooter, right?
Yeah, everything I read sounded like he actually struggled off like with ball in hand. He was more of a catch and shoot.
Yeah, he's that spot up guy, the guy that gets it on the second or third action swung to him, when everybody is focused in on, if Book is driving and, gets a double, then a swing out, like that's where he's going to thrive. Right now, I think the only guy we got on our team that's a point guard is Colin Gillespie, who I think should be given the opportunity next year. I don't know how you fellas feel about that. Hell no to a starting position.
No.
Second unit with what he did the second half of last year. Yeah. He's a smart player, and you can never have too many of those guys, especially if they have been here and done that. You roll them back. The one guy I always think about, I know it's not the same sport, but Greg Dortch, man. Every time Greg Dortch got an opportunity to make plays, what did he do? He did them, and he's turned it into a nice little career with himself for the Arizona Cardinals, and continuously being on that roster. Colin Gillespie can be that guy, man, if he continues to perform when asked to. So.
Yeah, I really liked what he did with his minutes this last season. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot, and he can shoot and distribute. For some reason, Mike Budenholzer didn't seem to like him, didn't really give him much opportunity until it was too late.
Fuck you, Mike Budenholzer.
I don't know if Mike liked anybody.
Yeah, Mike just seems like a prick, honestly.
Just didn't want to even. I didn't even think he wanted to fucking be here, man.
That's why he should go to New York, because nobody likes anybody in New York either.
That's true.
So.
He might fit in pretty well. But no, off the heels of that, I do want to talk about future construction of this roster, because as it stands, with the heavy amount of guards we have, I don't think Koby Brea is going to get many, if any, minutes, because you think point book probably, Jalen Green at the 2, Ryan Dunn at the 3, Rasheer Fleming 4, and then Mark Williams 5. Then you got Maluach coming first off the bench. But then, so you probably are going to get a guard, right? You're going to get another point guard, a ball handler, where Jalen Green can sit, Book can play 2, or vice versa. And they kind of share that. Maybe Book goes to the 3. Because that's what's funny is Book's 6'6", Jalen Green's 6'4". So either way, Book's either the point guard, the taller point guard, or the undersized forward. But either way, at that guard position, I do like Gillespie to potentially take that role. But there is people talking about bringing back Tyus Jones as well. He didn't exactly play into his next contract very well. Nico, I agree. Break it down for me, bro. Break it down for me.
We don't need to break it down. Just go watch it. Like, it's for, I mean, honestly, like, the Suns stress me out on so many levels with this kind of bullshit. But Tyus Jones wasn't effective in Minnesota. Wasn't effective with us. Like, he's a great third string point guard if we had that much room on our bench. But like, I like where Mike was going with, like, let's give Gillespie the reins on that second unit.
Well, so, man, honestly, the way that Tyus played last year, you might be able to bring him back on the veterans minimum, because he did not do enough of service for himself.
That's my thought, right?
He took the flyer to be able to get a nice payday this offseason, and there's going to be teams who are interested in his services, because you still have to think about it. I don't know. I don't think he was the turnover to assist ratio leader this season, but the previous 5 seasons he was. Mm-hmm. I feel like that was a big downfall for him. But the offense for the Phoenix Suns the past 2 seasons with Kevin Durant just never got true footing. Nobody could figure out where they truly needed to be. Yeah. We talked about it. It turned into the one-on-one watch Kevin Durant try and make a play all the time kind of situation. And Tyus Jones just never knew how to insert himself into truly running and kickstarting this offense. He was always the second fiddle guy. I mean, half the time, he was in the starting lineup, but he never brought the ball up. It was either Bradley Beal or Devin Booker.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we're doing some small action, getting it to Kevin Durant in the high post or low post, and then watching him do his 18-foot turnarounds, which we're going to get into KD a little bit. We did on our last live stream, so make sure you guys watch that back. But what better is out there than Tyus Jones? Gentlemen, I'm sorry. I think we're going to go back to the point book days. Like, I think that's what we're going to get again next year. Especially if you can't, it all still comes down to Bradley Beal. If you cannot leverage him to trade him out and get other pieces so you can get better free agents, you are stuck. You are just so stuck with him on our team. So you got to make do with what you can. And we know that Devin Booker has been more successful as a shooting guard for sure, but he can play point guard. And if you don't have any other opportunities, that's what you have to go with.
And that's I think the dangerous reality of it. And I want to talk about that, because in my mind, if Brian Gregory and the Suns can't find a way to move off of Bradley Beal in a way that makes sense, then nothing else really matters. And this team is going to be handcuffed for the next 2 seasons, even worse than they already are. I'm willing to take on a bad contract from Chicago or whoever else, as long as we're not paying Bradley Beal 55 plus million for the next 2 seasons.
To collect dust on the athletic trainers table.
To do literally fucking nothing. And I mean, I have to prepare for the very real possibility that Bradley Beal plays. I know there's been reporting that if they can't trade him, they're going to cut him, but I honestly don't think that's the best idea either, because if you're paying for him either way, you might as well have him on the roster and hope that he can stay healthy.
I mean, if they buy him out, though,
I don't think he'd agree to a buyout, though. I don't think they could afford to, because if you buy someone out, does it still go against your cap? Is there dead money still?
I think there's some kind of dead money. I wouldn't know. The new
there's so much
bargaining
the new
is
CBA
just
is
so ridiculous,
crazy,
man. But you're gonna be swallowing a lot of it.
Yeah.
And
does Ishbia give a shit?
See, that's the thing. A buyout is the worst case scenario.
Yeah, for sure.
For getting Bradley Beal off this team, because you're already talking about what you can do for this season, but next season as well.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. The clock keeps ticking. I'm not getting any fucking younger. So I'm ready to win and win now.
Yeah.
And we can't. We literally just can't if you have him. Even if you cut him, there's some ways that you can possibly get creative, but you're still sitting there with your hands tied for at least the next 2 seasons. And I know time flies, but I want to be competitive sooner rather than later. And Chris, you keep scaring me with this 5-year thought process of the next time the Suns are going to be competitive.
That might be the pessimist in me, but it could also be the realist in me, Mike.
I know, that's what scares me. You're
real,
telling me I'm going to be into the next decade of my life before the Phoenix Suns are competitive?
God, don't put it like that.
Like, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm pissed.
How many decades have we had where they've been shit? Not
just
a lot,
one
right?
full one. Yeah. In my lifetime, just one full one.
Then I guess we have some what goes around comes around.
Because
that's true. They've been mostly good.
When we were growing up in the 90s, Niko, they were good.
They were dominant
all the time.
Yeah.
I think they held at one point a NBA record for most seasons making the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It was like 13 to 15 seasons in a row. Obviously, that was during the Jordan Bull era and then the Kobe 3P,
David Robinson and Tim Duncan,
the Spurs and all that stuff. But, so there's been a lot of success for this franchise within our lives, but never to the mountaintop. And having that decade during our 20s when it was the worst basketball that we've seen ever in this franchise's history, either than probably the early 70s when this franchise was incepted. I'm not ready to go backwards and trust the process for 7-8 years,
that may be what we're looking at, though. Like, honestly, so like I liken our situation as Suns fans to kind of the situation that Nuggets fans were going through. Like, until they won their championship, like the Nuggets were kind of a predominantly good team until we grew up and it was like the shit can Nuggets.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, the Nuggets became a good team again in the Carmelo era.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they were always just a piece or two shy. They tried adding Allen Iverson. They tried, they had that team that went to the Western Conference Finals that they thought for sure was going to be the ones. And no, man, like, I think honestly, like, that seal isn't going to break for us for at least another 10 years.
So, Niko, let me ask you, is the next great Suns team going to have Devin Booker on it?
No.
Wow. See, that
puts it in perspective.
That
right there.
and that's what scares me, because he's 28 years old,
and he's about to sign his next supermax extension.
They said within the next 10 days.
Yeah, so his contract is gonna keep him here for like the next 6 years minimum.
Yeah, I didn't hesitate either, guys.
So
pretty direct.
Yeah, you've thought about this.
The one way I get hopeful about what the Phoenix Suns are doing, and obviously there's still a whole bunch of moves that have to be made with free agency, but what they did in the draft, they brought in a lot of young pieces. You're hopeful that they can kind of follow a mold of the Oklahoma City Thunder, where all of their contributors outside of guys like Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso are 23 or younger.
Yeah.
And how do they win? You have a bona fide superstar who can go get you a bucket whenever you want. You have a second guy who is a bona fide all-star who might be a guy on somebody else's team, or the guy is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And then you are just surrounded by defensive menaces, right? Because you have your offensive covered, but then you have the athleticism and the want to play defense. The Phoenix Suns haven't wanted to play defense even on their finals run that much, right? I mean, like,
not often ever.
Well, and that's the scary thing
Bridges.
with, not to derail, but that's what I wanted to talk about with Tyus Jones real quick too, is like what he could bring offensively didn't matter because on defense he fucking sucked. And it's like, so you have this point guard that can distribute, he can make threes, but then he's shit on the defensive end. And we don't need our point guard to be able to score because we're going to have Jalen Green and Devin Booker for that. And like last season we had Devin Booker and Kevin Durant for that. So
But now you're hopeful. If you were to bring Tyus Jones back, now you're hopeful you can mask him on the defensive end because now you have a lot of length in the front court.
True.
Right? So if guys are getting by him, hopefully they're forcing it to kickouts and then contested shots from the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we're getting all over the place, and we have to move on here, gentlemen.
Yeah, we do.
Because if I'm talking about the Phoenix Suns not being a successful organization for the next 5 years, well, I'm gonna become a Boston Celtics fan again, Chris. Like I don't know what to tell you.
There was a time in the recent past where I was shopping for a new team, but I'm gonna stick with the Suns. Yeah, Mike, I'm sure on Past the Outlet we will talk more about the future construction of this roster as we move through the rest of the offseason. But you're right, we do need to keep things moving on. So the last Suns topic we needed to get to was the Kevin Durant trade. We did talk about it a little bit on the round table. It's kind of old news at this point, sitting out a little over a week. But I think it's important that we just share our quick gut reactions to it and kind of break it down a little bit. So it was Kevin Durant for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and 5 second-round picks. Do I have that right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, there's mixed opinions on this. A lot of people say this is great. This is, about what you could expect for a 37, soon to be 38 or 36, soon to be 37-year-old Kevin Durant. He's on the tail end of his career, probably has less than 5 years left in his career, and maybe only 2 seasons left to still be effective. Depends on who you ask. Obviously, it's hard to gauge. Like LeBron James is 41, still putting up crazy numbers that we've never seen for a 41-year-old. Tom Brady, I remember Max Kellerman being like, the decline of Tom Brady, this is when he's going to be really bad. And then he went on and won 3 more Super Bowls. So there's just those athletes that transcend. LeBron is one of them. I think KD has the potential to be one of them as well. But that's neither here nor there. Considering what we gave up for him, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, a bunch of first-round picks. I think Jay Crowder was part of that deal, or shortly thereafter. I can't quite remember. We gave up a lot to get Kevin Durant, and then the perception is not even the perception. The reality is we didn't get as much back in return. And just 2 years later, there were other offers on the table. There were rumors of Minnesota offering Rudy Gobert. Who was the other piece in that deal?
Dante DiVincenzo.
Okay,
and then
I like that.
I think it was Rob Dillingham.
Right?
Yeah.
I think they threw a pick in too.
Yeah,
I
like
think
a
there
17,
was
17 or something like that.
Yeah, I think 17 was the pick.
So, that offer is on the table. Rudy Gobert is a perennial defensive big man, or not defensive big man. He is a perennial defensive big, but defensive player of the year is what I meant to say. He's in his early 30s, so probably, starting his decline, maybe at or past his prime. Hard to say. DiVincenzo's, I think, a solid role player. And Dillingham, young talent. So you kind of check a lot of boxes there with that one. 17th pick, you don't get Maluach in that deal, but you have Rudy Gobert, so you don't care as much. There's going to be a lot of coulda, shoulda, woulda. And there was another deal you guys were telling me about, another offer that you felt might have been better than the Rockets. Do either of you remember which one that was?
I know that I had saw that Darius Garland was available
that's what it was.
and pitched to the Suns. And that one actually really kind of pissed me off that we didn't. I mean, give me a backcourt of Darius Garland and Devin Booker.
Because Darius can play the point guard.
Darius is a point guard.
He is a point guard, right? Okay, yeah. I get
yeah.
him and Colin Sexton mixed up a lot.
And he's a good ball. He's got good court vision. He can move the ball really well. He can shoot the three.
He's an all-star.
Yeah,
he's a great player.
Good. He's really good. Yeah,
he's the reason why the Cleveland Cavaliers could not beat the Indiana Pacers because he was hurt.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were even willing to throw Garland out like that is, and the fact that we were just, no, that's not what Kevin. I don't give a fuck what Kevin wants. Let me make that really clear, Kevin Durant. Since you wanted to shit on us on the way out, we don't give a fuck what you wanted. This is a business. You should have been traded wherever the fuck you were traded. That's how that works. You asked for a trade. That's your role. Play it. That's fine, dude. But don't come in here and tell us that we can't trade you to Minnesota and we can't trade you to Cleveland. I'll trade you to the fucking Chinese league if I want to. That's how it works. I'm sorry. That bugs me so much.
Trading him to Shanghai Sharks for Jimmer Fredette.
For Jimmer Fredette.
Bring him home.
Send him on back.
And honorary Steph Marbury.
So, and it's funny. I'm going to keep referencing it. You got to go back to our roundtable from last week because we put up a text from Kruver that just completely epitomized the past 3 stops in the Kevin Durant era, going back to the Brooklyn Nets. I can't remember all of them, but it was basically, get pissed off, get a coach fired,
demand a trade,
even before the trade, get into fights with fans on Twitter. Maybe physical altercations with your teammates as well, since the reports that there were
fist fights in the locker room.
And then you demand a trade.
And then you claim that you're dedicated to that team for life.
You show regret. You show remorse.
Guys, I'm morphing into Brian Gregory over here. I'm so aligned with Niko. The way that they bended hand and knee to cater to what Kevin Durant wanted. You gotta be fucking kidding me, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What the hell do we owe him?
Yep.
The way that they were moving him was acting like he was Devin Booker, and he's been here for the past decade. That's how you maneuver if Devin Booker wants out.
Yes.
Kevin Durant was here and played under 150 games in 2.5 seasons for us. He was great, but he never took over for leadership. He never wanted to be the guy who led the charge. He just wanted to hoop. That's great, but there's differences in being an all-time great and being like a guy that can change the narrative for teams, and he just never ever could do that here. He's put us behind the 8 ball. So if he's put us behind the 8 ball, obviously it's our decision to do that.
Yeah.
Why are you catering to him to get a lesser return than something to set your franchise up for further success than we ever got with him? I just don't get it. That truly is besides the point. But I gotta ask this to you guys now, because when you look at trades, especially ones that involve a lot of draft picks, it's hard to really garner a true vision of, did you possibly win it or did you not, right? We look at the trading for Kevin Durant as Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 5 first-round picks, but we don't know what those picks are. I think some of them we do now, right? They've started to turn around, but this is what we traded Kevin Durant into, okay? Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Khaman Maluach, Rasheer Fleming, Koby Brea, and a second-round pick. How's that fucking return for you? I think pretty damn good, guys. You got what you could. You had no leverage at all within any of these trades, and you were able to maneuver to get 2 guys who were quality first-round talents and the best shooter in the draft. I think that's pretty good. I don't know about you.
Well, and Jalen Green, he was a second overall pick.
The second overall pick, yeah.
In his draft, so you got to factor that in. I think on paper, I agree with you, Mike. On paper, it doesn't seem like it's that bad. But going back to our previous conversation, we haven't seen Khaman Maluach take the floor yet. We haven't seen Rasheer Fleming take the court yet. We haven't even seen Jalen Green take the court in a Suns uniform to see how he's going to play with Devin Booker, because we know he's very athletic. He's going to be the new most athletic player on the Suns, move over Ryan Dunn. But you're also going to have that guy on the court. So I like that we're getting younger, and I think that's the direction we need to go, because to your point, we have all these young guys now for a 37-year-old. Like, you're resetting, and yeah, it might take a little bit to get it rolling, but I honestly, you're convincing me, Mike. You're convincing me. I don't think it was too bad. And to your point, I did want to touch on the catering to Kevin Durant as well, because that was for some reason, a polarizing issue that I saw in a lot of online discourse, which I know isn't the best, most accurate representation of the Suns fans and the community. But also, no disrespect to any Suns fans or any sports fan for that matter, but they're more uneducated, emotional sports fans than not. And I'm not sitting here saying like I'm the most educated, because I obviously speak very passionately and very emotionally as well on all these very podcasts as well. But to cater to Kevin Durant like you owe him anything, you're absolutely right, Mike. You absolutely don't. But people, not me playing devil's advocate, I guess, per se, but people online would say that you have to do it from an optics standpoint. Because do you want to be the team that's like, this is how the Phoenix Suns treat superstars? They move them like they're a chess piece. They don't care about anything other than their own bottom line. I agree with you. If it was Devin Booker, do whatever he wants. He deserved that from this franchise. He owns all the franchise records. He's done a lot for the team and our success and marketability. Give that to him. Kevin Durant, 2 seasons, didn't meet expectations, didn't make a playoff run, didn't make the playoffs this last year. I mean, not that it's all Kevin Durant's fault, but why are you catering to this guy? And so I shut the fuck up, and I want to ask Niko, do you think that genuinely, if they had just moved him to Cleveland or anywhere else for the best possible return, that any other player in the league would look at that optically and be like, oh, the Suns don't care about star players?
I don't know anymore. I know that there was a time and place where Gary Payton could go from the Seattle Supersonics to the Lakers or the Miami Heat, and it wasn't.
It's just business.
It was just business.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas, like, now, like, those guys, like, I don't think Gary dictated to Seattle where he wanted to go. I don't think.
Probably not.
Like, I don't know about the Carmelo Anthony deal either, but, like, I don't think he really told them, you're going to send me to New York. Like, I think guys just kind of got sent places, and it worked. Fuck, dude, I don't know. To me, if today's generation, today's day and age, I'm sure that there are some kids that are looking at it going, well, yeah, if they sent him to Cleveland, like they don't give a fuck all about their superstars. But I think if you're smart and you engage in the game of basketball, even in the most minute of amounts, like you would realize that like KD was here for a spit in the bucket. And did he win a championship? No. Okay, then like,
yeah.
What do we owe him? Nothing.
Well, and it's funny, Chris, you were saying the way that I might have swayed you on if we got an okay return for KD trade.
Yeah.
You're swaying me in the reasoning why you have to work with Kevin Durant.
It made me turn my head a little bit. Yeah, the optics, yeah.
It does make sense.
It's a different era, gentlemen. I mean, we were talking about how Ace Bailey was already listing out all these teams that he wouldn't play for.
Bad optics.
Yeah. You know, but this is the era of player empowerment, right? If and when the time comes for the Suns to be able to afford to sign a big profile free agent in the future, if you were to ship Kevin Durant to the Memphis Grizzlies without him giving a cosign, and that's the other thing is we know Kevin Durant would be shitting all over the organization on his way out the door saying this was all the bad stuff that happened during our time frame.
Yeah.
We never were on the same page ever. They never asked me about how I felt these players would fit. And I mean, am I wrong? Like, he's just that kind of a guy. And
he did it anyways, and we didn't even do anything wrong.
Yeah, that's who he is. And, you know, that's fine. Be yourself, Kevin. So that's why I'm coming on your side and saying, you had to work with him because you wanted to be as cordial of a split as possible, because Kevin Durant is such a polarizing figure who speaks his mind and speaks it very candidly. If you want to have the opportunity to go get some big time guys in the future, you got to appease the best of the best that work in your, on your franchise.
So what does that say about Chris Paul?
But here's the other thing too, to my standard. I don't know. I feel like winning also can attract a lot of good players too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
If you would have traded him for a better return for players who are ready to contribute now and go out and win some playoff series, then you're talking about moving the needle faster than hopefully relying on all these 22 or younger guys, and hopefully they hit, but that's why sports is just always one of the most dynamic industries to really talk about and think about, because it is like doing the waltz, man. You got to really, really know your steps in order to be great and be good as a franchise all the time.
Yeah, and I think the hardest thing for us right now as fans is I correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think Brian Gregory or Matt Ishbia or anybody's come out and said, like, this is our timeline, this is what we're trying to do. Like, we're in the dark. Are they playing it? It almost seems like they're leaning more towards like a youth movement, be good. Like I've said, be good in 5 years, not be good in 2 or 3 years. Like, it's not like we're gonna be down this next year, but then the year after that we're gonna bounce back. Obviously, you would hope that it happens sooner rather than later, but what is their realistic timeline? Is it 1 to 5 years? Is it 2 to 5 years? 3 to 5 years? I would lean more towards 3 to closer to 5 years.
It better be 1 to 3.
You can only hope. You can only hope for the best. But that's obviously going to rely on rapid development of these young guys, what they can do. Bradley Beal is honestly like a real big factor in this, because if you can't get off that contract in some form or fashion to start building this team out to be more well-rounded, you're handcuffed. You're fucked for a minimum of 2 more seasons. And that's where my 3 to 5 year timeline comes in, and that's why I lean more towards 5 years, just because I don't think Bradley Beal has any willingness to work with the Suns. And like, it's so I'm so torn on it, because like, on one hand, I can't blame a guy. Like, you're never going to be able to get another contract for that amount of money. You suck, dude. Like, your next contract after the Suns contract, you're going to be lucky to get $15 million a year. I think that's generous. Like, so I don't blame him for, he's going to pick up the player option next year if he's still on this team. And that's why he holds all the cards. He's one of 2 players in the entire fucking NBA that has a no trade clause. It's him and LeBron James. So you have one of 2 no trade clauses. You're making $56, $57, $60 million, and you have that player option. Yeah, I'm going to take it, and I hold all the cards. So if you want to buy me out, it's not going to be cheap. And if you want to waive and stretch me after that, it's going to be on your books for 3 to 4 years. So fuck it, man. Like, if he's going to handcuff you, handcuff him. Fine. You're going to stay on this team. You're going to sit on the bench.
I mean, that's the answer, right? Like, that is, if you're not going. I don't like that I'm like in this big like Suns czar mode where it's cut your throat off or win, but like, man, I don't know. Aren't you guys fucking sick of this?
Of Bradley Beal, or
no? Just this whole the Suns, this shenanigans with the fucking Suns, year in and year out. We get 1-2 years of reprisal, and then we're right back at it, where there's something going on inside of the organization, whether it's fucking Bartlestein sticking his dipstick into Sophie Cunningham, or whether it's, like, there's what list do you want me to go down? Like, we can even go back down to the 80s when the Suns players had mirrors installed in their cars so they could do blow off of them. Like, I mean, guys, like, this is...
You didn't know that?
That's a very real thing. Yeah, that's a very real thing. Like
the team bus or something?
No,
like,
the players in general had like glove compartments.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
It's just, you just pull it out and like pulling it, like
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, man. The Suns in general, I'm so sick of this. Like, well, if we figure this out, we'll figure this out. And why can't we just have a fucking plan? Why was the plan to go take Washington's problem? Washington, a small market team who didn't want to lose their big player, their seat filler, their fucking gate taker. They didn't want to fucking lose him. So in that heap of desperation, came with the most disgusting contract that they possibly could come with, and added a no trade clause in there, which now fucks every team down the line for the entirety of this contract.
I mean, it almost seems like a kid playing NBA 2K.
It is.
In 2K, that trade for Bradley Beal is amazing. Like, if you're playing NBA 2K19, that roster with KD, Booker, and Brad Beal is fucking sick, dude.
Filthy.
Like,
it's filthy.
Like, probably even like 2K21, 2K22, that's still a fucking nasty team. But when you're going into 2020, what was that happen in 2023?
Yeah.
In 2024, like, it's Kevin Durant is past his prime. Bradley Beal never plays. Like, and I guess it's not super fair to say Kevin Durant was past his prime because he was still putting up 30-point games. So, like, we'll take it. But
health-wise, probably past his prime, though.
Yeah, he missed quite a lot of time. And shout out Ian. We've talked about Ian a lot. He has said something that really has resonated with me now that we're post Kevin Durant era in Phoenix. Is he's like the greatest role player of all time. Like you said, Mike. Kevin Durant didn't want to be a leader. He wanted to just score buckets.
And
I just think of that Casey Fry video where it's like, I just want to ball with my bros.
But that's like, bro, what a waste. Like, what a waste of a generational talent to I just want to ball with my bros.
Yeah.
You either not fucking go get, like, I know you want rings. We saw that part of you.
I don't even know if that's true.
I don't know if he does want any more
He
rings.
got his rings.
Yeah.
I just don't think he, like,
Like, bro,
I just don't think he was having fun with the Suns anymore.
He literally just wants to be a hooper. I don't even know how much of like a famous person he truly wants to be.
I don't think he does.
I don't think he wants to be famous.
He just wants to play ball and like let the chips fall where they may. More power to you, man. I mean, I get to do that into hopefully my 40s, but I ain't making $52 million a year, you know? Like
only into your 40s, Mike?
Well, I'm saying like Kevin Durant.
Those wheels are going to fall off.
Hopefully we'll play into his 40s, you know? But yeah, I got to jump on what Niko said too. It's like, yeah, man, I'm disappointed. I'm tired of it, but I'm just no longer surprised.
Yep.
I'm no longer surprised with what has happened. You know, even going back to the Robert Sarver era, like this organization has been riddled with true negativity in multiple facets, not even just on the basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to talk about how we only really got a stretch of 3.5 seasons to be happy with where the growth we had gone to and the success we were seeing before it was torn down in front of our eyes. This is the last thing I'm going to say about Kevin Durant. Since the Suns aren't going to be contenders within, good Lord, the next 3 to 5 seasons, fine, Chris. I honestly I would be okay if the Houston Rockets were good and made like a deep playoff push. Because you know what? I like Şengün, man. I've always liked Fred VanVleet. I like some of their young pieces. I think they're good players, and they just weren't ready for the moment this year after playing, I think, above expectations to have the number 2 seed. I think a Kevin Durant really helps them, especially with them not having to give up a lot of their young pieces. But at the end of the day, I will never forgive the Phoenix Suns organization for not giving Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton a full season to see if they could make it happen. For the relationship with DeAndre Ayton, and at that point they had shipped out Monty, but with the organization that have been so fractured, for them to not be able to just say, hey, we have one of the top 15 players ever on our team now. You don't want to see if we can go and win that title, man, and then you can go on to greener pastures? I will never forgive them for that, man.
Well, I am right there with you. I 100% agree. They absolutely should have. And what they ended up doing to get Bradley Beal, to get Yusuf Nurkic as the only return for DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul, you had Toumani Camara, who you sent away and now is doing very well in Portland. It's been a lot of blunders, which is why I am holding on to a little bit of my optimism about this new team. And like, I'm not ready to dive headfirst into the hype of these draft picks that we got. It's great, you know, moving back into the top 10 and actually having a draft pick. Fantastic. I love it. Hasn't touched the court yet. We don't know. He could be the next great center in the NBA, but also in a lot of ways, the NBA is has been moved away from the traditional center position. And it doesn't sound like, you know, Maluach stretches the floor very well, which I'm not saying you need, every center has to be Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid, but for better or worse, that's kind of become the mold in a lot of ways. Like, we'll see how it goes. You know, we'll keep tabs on it, but I think we should shift to a little bit more of a positive note. What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
It's Arizona sports and it's positive.
I know, hard to believe, right? But there was some good positive news that came down for the Arizona Diamondbacks. They got the stadium deal worked out, passed through the state legislature, signed just today by Katie Hobbs. Again, we're recording this on Friday, June 27th, so you probably already know about this. But Mike, you got the details of the deal, right?
I got them. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs, she signed House Bill 2704. It funds up to $500 million for Chase Field renovations. Trust me, we've had firsthand experiences with, you know, leaks going during the World Series. The roof hasn't been able to be open for so long. Now it does, but it's at a snail pace. So But it's crazy, man. I mean, one, bipartisan support in both of the states' GOP-controlled chambers, which is great that we could all get on the same page there. But they're going to use sales tax revenue from the stadium and nearby buildings for the infrastructure upgrades over the next 30 years. Obviously, the main fixtures will be to fix that AC and that roof so we can have the full beauty, especially of that roof opening with the old school. They already do it now, right? When they open the roof,
the music, and everything. Yeah, they still do the music.
Yeah, that one. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, that's what a great touch.
But yeah, and it's not just the people of Arizona. The Diamondbacks said that they're going to contribute $250 million of their own dollars.
Wow.
So that's beautiful. That's showing Arizona wants baseball, and the Diamondbacks want to be here. And Arizona wants baseball, guys. I mean, we've been averaging 31,420 fans per game. It's the highest in 2 decades. Obviously, based off of our World Series run, there's a trickle-down effect because people want to see good baseball, but Diamondbacks have been pretty good the past couple of seasons. But now the biggest things are, extending that lease with Maricopa County. It's up in 2027. I think this was the absolute first, this was the double that was hit. And now the next one is the home run to get it across the finish line. But, man, it took months. I mean, the bill cleared on June 23rd, but it was months of debate how they could get this thing done. But I think a lot of people in legislation saw what happened with the Coyotes, and they did not want to go down that route again. We are too big of a metropolitan city to not have a majority of the major sports in the Valley. So kudos to everybody. Kudos to Katie Hobbs getting it over the finish line. Baseball's here to stay.
Yeah, it's honestly such, a breath of fresh air and a sigh of relief that they got this done, because you're absolutely right, Mike. Like, trying to imagine a world where the Diamondbacks move out of the state and we only have the Suns and the Cardinals. And not to mention that downtown area where you have the ballpark right next to the stadium is iconic. I mean, all three of us grew up here and have been downtown a ton. Like, you two probably more than me, but like I still find my way down there quite frequently. And it's so amazing. And the nights when, in October, I guess, would it be October? No, I guess the beginning of the baseball season, end of the basketball season, when there's potential to have both on one night. Mike, you've talked about going, I guess it works both ways if the Dbacks are playing in October, where you can go from a Diamondbacks game to a Suns game or vice versa, depending on where either are at. Not saying it's necessarily the smartest thing to do, because you're probably going to miss the majority of one of the games, but you have the option to be down there in that environment, and it's huge. Obviously, I think this is the writing on the wall that they are going to get a lease agreement done, and it's going to happen. The AC is another big issue that needs to be worked out. It's been better this season than I think it has before. And Tallman's talked about it before on the Heat Check podcast, where basically it's like 2 swamp coolers that are 20 years old in a completely separate building from the stadium itself, pumping all the air underground and into the stadium. People don't realize this, it's one of the oldest stadiums in the entire major league. Like, out of all of it, like, and that includes Yankee Stadium. Obviously, there's new Yankee Stadium. I think Fenway might be one of the only other ones that's like older than that. Wrigley.
Yep. Guaranteed, or I guess they call it rate
Field now. Yeah, but there's not that many. Like, it's bottom 10 as far as like oldest, maybe bottom 5 even for like oldest stadiums in the league. And you don't think about it, because in the grand scheme, like, we're a newer team still. We're, I think, the second youngest. Was there another team that came in after us in the Rays? I don't think. No, the Nationals technically
it would be the Nationals,
but they were the Montreal Expos before that. They basically just moved, and it's but obviously that is a new stadium. I'll give them that. They had to build a new stadium to go become the Washington Nationals. But other than that, like, we're relatively new. And when I go into that ballpark, I don't feel like it's breaking down, because it's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff. Like, we just saw this season in Cold Beers and Cheeseburgers, formerly the TGI Fridays restaurant there, the roof was fucking flooding. Like,
yikes, man.
And that's the type of shit, like, they'll be able to make those changes. I think, from what I understand, a lot of the plumbing throughout the stadium is bad and outdated. The AC, the roof, like, there's just a lot of housekeeping. Like, we were just there obviously we've all been to games this season. We were at that event with Niko a couple weeks ago. The seats are the original seats from when the stadium opened. And I never realized this, but like some of them, like the paint, there used to be like maroon and green and like gold paint on the side of the seats, and that's all rubbed off and gone, and it's just solid green now. You wouldn't even know.
Yeah, it is interesting when we were walking by and you could still see the original purple on the seats. The stadium, it's not a dump, you know, it's not like the Coliseum or anything like that, but
it's clean.
The roof, the AC, you mentioned the plumbing. The plumbing I think is a big one that they're trying to tackle. But like, man, wouldn't it be nice to not just put a Band-Aid on our problems like we did with the roof earlier this season? Wouldn't it be nice to take care of the air conditioning? I'm like blessed in our seats, our season ticket seats. We get AC just fine, but like I know that there are multiple spots all over the stadium where it's just a sweat lodge. So I don't know, man. I'm very happy to see that we got this done, because anytime any kind of arena stuff comes up on a vote, man, I clutch my pearls and I say my prayers, because I know I'd vote yes on anything that had to do with my taxes going to building a stadium or anything like that. But not everybody truly feels that way. So, you get a little stomach up in your throat and you kind of hold your breath. So it's very nice that we're not going to lose the Diamondbacks. I mean, granted, guys, I don't think we truly ever would have lost the Diamondbacks. We would have had to drive to fucking Tucson to watch them play.
Ugh.
Or we would have had to go up north to watch them play, but we wouldn't have lost them. It just would have been a huge inconvenience. I don't think you can take away a World Series team from the state, but I could be wrong.
I mean,
you could do whatever you want.
Literally the only men's professional championship in the Valley. Yeah, that would be the craziest look. But, I mean, you can say that for Seattle, right?
Bro, but on the other hand, if the Diamondbacks played in Flagstaff, talk about a hitter's park.
Oh, my God. Hey, if they were in Tucson, we could take the eventual train from Phoenix to Tucson, so that wouldn't be too bad. But
I mean, do you think the ball would fly farther in the heat or in the
high altitude?
In the high altitude.
Well, I'm just going off, like, Colorado is supposed to be a good hitter's park, right?
Yeah, but they're like a mile high.
Flagstaff's higher.
Is it? Is Flagstaff higher than
Flagstaff's like 7,000 feet.
I know been at the ballpark, as they say around
the ballpark,
around those woods. They play like the MLB station, and it'll show you like the stat breakdowns. The heat when it's above 95 adds like 9 miles an hour to an exit velo on a baseball.
Ooh. Wow.
So maybe we need to open the roof in the stadium a little bit more.
Open it in the summer.
Yeah. We turn the AC on full blast. Fix that son of a bitch. Fuck the roof.
Always have it open for 110 Wednesday starts in July.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Hopefully Merrill Kelly's
I was gonna say,
starting.
but not when Merrill Kelly is pitching. Does anyone have a tab on that game right now?
I'll check it right now.
Do you want to know what happened?
Did we already? Is it over?
We lost 9-8.
God damn it.
Yep.
Well, okay. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately,
there went the optimistic part.
We're not gonna.
Sorry, Tallman.
We're not actually gonna talk about. I don't think we need to really talk about the Diamondbacks. We've done it. Me and Tallman about a week ago did a full check-in on mid-season check-in. We talked about it on the roundtable. We're gonna talk about it this coming Tuesday, depending on what type of stream we do.
And our next heat check, it'll be All-Star break.
Yeah.
Next time we do this
in July. Yeah.
So we'll do a big deep dive.
And we'll be coming up on the trade deadline as well. So I think by then we'll have a good idea of if we're buyers or sellers. Might be some mixed opinions. Like Niko wants us to be sellers.
Fuck that. I want to buy, bro. I'll tell you who we're selling if we're sellers, though. I can tell you that.
Oh, I know that. Josh Naylor, goodbye.
I think it's Naylor. I think it's Gino.
Yep, potentially.
I think Gallen's on that board.
Gallen
should be on that board. Even if we're buyers, we should sell Gallen.
I think with how well Merrill Kelly's played, that he's on that block.
Really?
I do.
Oh no.
I think if we're in a position to sell at the trade deadline, you guys better fucking brace yourselves, because we could have a shitty Suns team and a real shitty Diamondbacks team real quick.
I'm not ready for that.
Because we spent a bunch of money to be really good, only to not be really good, and I don't think that...
You think they want to recoup some of that cost?
Yeah.
I don't unfortunately think you're far off. But that's another conversation for another day. and we've had enough sadness in this stream. So I think it's good that Mike suggested we do our list here as we close out this very special 40th episode of the Heat Check podcast. Second time we've had a guest. Niko, again, thanks for being here, man.
No problem.
But we will be doing all right, guys, I guess this is when we got to decide. Initially, it was pitched as a top 3. Sounds like Niko and I kind of wanted to expand it to a top 5. Mike, what do you think?
We did expand it to a top 5.
Top 5. We'll do top 5.
We'll do top 5. Okay, perfect. So this is our top 5 favorite sports video games of all time. All of us were born in the 90s, so you basically factor in probably anything from 1990 to today as far as sports video games. I count any sports game, arcade game, console game, computer game, any sports video game. So my list is a little, I think, unique, probably going to be quite a bit different from these guys, but I'm curious because I think we all had somewhat different upbringings and relationships with gaming throughout our lives. So I'm really eager to see what you guys do. So how should we do? Guys, I don't know if you can tell, we didn't do very much planning on this segment. Should we do it where we start? Do you guys have, okay, first of all, do you guys have a solid 1 through 5? Have you ranked your selections?
I have.
Okay, I have as well.
You guys?
Niko?
I think we should just go
5,
everybody
5,
4. Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Now, do we want to give the honors to our very special guest to lead us off each time? Or how are you feeling about that, Niko?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. We'll go Niko, then myself, and then Chris, since you are our fearless leader. You'll be the final number 1 overall. How about that?
I like it.
Perfect.
Well, then let's do it. So, top 5 sports video games of all time. Personal top 5. Niko, lead us off, man. What is your number 5 top sports video game?
Number 5.
Coming in at number 5, Fight Night Round 2. Fight Night for me was
Round 2?
Yeah, Round 2. With Sugar Ray on the cover. Fight Night was an awesome game, man. That was like the first game, like fighting game that I ever played. But like, they had the extensiveness of the boxers that you could be. I mean, everybody from Holyfield to I'm gonna of course draw blanks now that we're on live, but like, they had a huge list of Lennox Lewis,
probably Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah, Roy Jones Jr. They had Sugar Ray Leonard. They had a huge list, but the career mode. What I thought was the coolest. You just create your player, go in, and then you eventually fight your way up the rankings of your like weight class, and you end up like the final guy is always like Sugar Ray or fucking Mike Tyson.
Depends on the weight
Muhammad
class,
Ali.
right?
Yeah, but I always liked Fight Night. It was a fun game. It was versatile. It didn't get boring, which like for a fighting game, like it could be very boring very easy. But yeah, I fucked with Fight Night.
Yeah, I that one's an honorable mention for me. I'll just come out and say it. But I think it was Fight Night Round 3 that I mostly played.
Gotcha.
Because that was the last one they made, right? And then I think there's like
Yes.
Fight Night Champions now. But
Yeah,
I tried to play that one. It's not as good.
No, it's not good at all.
It's not as good. So yeah, those Fight Night games, man, were really, really fucking solid. And I admittedly, when I played Fight Night Round 3, which is my honorable mention, I only did the story mode. I didn't do any like exhibition fights or any alternate things. So it's like I would make Chris Heath or Chris Patrick, and he would fucking brawl these guys. And I think I like to do heavyweights.
So if we're talking about fighting games, would Def Jam Fight for NY
Fuck
be
no.
considered?
No.
That was more akin to like a Mortal Kombat or
damn
like I didn't even those type of fighting games like Soul Calibur. Did you ever play Soul Calibur?
No, Street Fighter shit.
Street
like
Fighter,
that.
yeah, that-
Hated them. Oh my god.
Not sports games. Anyway, Mike, what
Those
is
are
your
button mashing games.
number? Amen.
Number 5. So I'll throw out an honorable mention. Tiger Woods PGA 10.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Ooh, okay.
hours on that game. Loved it. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now because I'm going to be buying my first set of clubs here pretty soon, and had a lot of fun with that game. But number 5, we're throwing it back to 2009 with Darren McFadden on the cover, NCAA Football 2009. That was the last time that I bought an NCAA football game. I think the last one was what, 2014?
With RG3
No,
on the cover,
no,
or was
it
it
was-
Barry Sanders?
No, it was
Not Todd Gurley. No,
it was the Michigan quarterback.
Oh,
I can picture it.
Shoelace. He didn't tie his shoes.
Dang it.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay, but anyways, there's something different about the pageantry of college football. Even though, as you guys know, I'm not the biggest college football fan, but there's differences. You know, sometimes I don't love watching baseball, but playing baseball is so much fun. Same thing. College football, sometimes I don't love watching it, but playing it, hell of a good time. You guys will be disappointed in me. I did not get the most recent college football, the first one to come out in 11, 12 years.
Wow.
But I will make a promise. I wanted to give it 1 year to breathe to see how it worked out. So I will be getting this year's college football. 26 at this point?
Yeah, 26.
So, but number 5, NCAA football 2009.
It's a good one. That's a really good one. I think I have 2009 here somewhere, actually. Maybe 2008. Can't remember, because those games were sick, and it was the same as Madden, but it was different, like in a good way. I honestly really appreciated those games. And it's funny, when I played back then, 2008, right? That was or 2009. I would strictly do the dynasty mode and build a team up and recruit and do all that. It was big into the recruiting. And then when I got this new one, 25, I just played like the as a quarterback, like the position player, and I didn't really touch dynasty that much. And I think a lot of that has to do with how much time I have to play video games is far less than I did when I was 14 years old or whatever. But man, that's a good one, Mike. That's a good number 5. I'm really intrigued by your top. Your next 4 in your top 5. So I guess now it's on to me for my number 5. Top
number 5.
Again, like I said, my list is a little bit unorthodox. My gaming experience growing up was a little bit different, and honestly, a lot of these I think have a nostalgia factor for me. And I'm gonna be real honest right now. I think this is where I'm gonna especially differentiate from you guys. I don't have any Madden or NBA 2K on my list, and if I had a week to sit down and think about this, my list might be different, but this was just like gut off the top feeling. So number 5 for me, humongous entertainment, backyard baseball.
Fantastic.
Bro, I played the shit out of that game. Pablo was my favorite character. I think, as for a lot of people, that very skinny, very wide batter's box. Man, and I know there's a couple. This might be a little bit cheating because there were a couple different variations of backyard baseball. I especially appreciated the versions that had like Chipper Jones and Ken Griffey Jr.
Those were the best ones.
The pros in them, so I kind of lumped all of them together. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, because that's as good as my memory works. Is as far as my brain knows, that was all one game. But backyard baseball, man, I played the shit out of that game. So that's my number 5 PC game.
Number 4.
Niko, number 4.
I am going to go with probably a little controversial of a pick here. I don't even think a lot of people really remember this game existed. NCAA Baseball 2007.
Oh, yes,
No
I do.
way.
Yes, I do.
The sound of the metal bat. The ability, and I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand with the college football game you were talking about, Chris, but the ability to, especially back then, recruit, and, they gave you full, unfettered access of, recruiting. That game was so much fun to me, and especially, I remember, I don't know if you guys got this way when you were kids with your video games, but when, things would happen, if it was College World Series going on, I would have an insatiable urge to play a College World Series game with South Carolina or, the Chanticleers or whoever I could get my hands on.
100%.
And that was a heavy one. It was not one that I owned, but it was one that I rented on a very regular basis from the Blockbuster. But, yeah, we're going to go
That's a throwback, renting video games. I'm still honestly that way. I play sports games with the seasons. I'll play Madden heavy during football season. I'll play 2K during basketball season. Right now, that's why I'm playing the show so much, is because it's the heart of baseball season. Yeah. So definitely relate to that. That's okay. So you got Fight Night Round 2-5, NCAA Basketball 2007 as number 4. I never played that one, but I'd be interested to see if it still holds up. If you can even find a copy of it, those copies are probably hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, they're probably very expensive.
Yeah, I played 06. I think there was a Texas player on the cover.
Yeah.
But, yeah, those were great games. And we knew there was going to be some overlap at some point. And mine's a baseball game as well. I have to go with the original backyard baseball. This is purely nostalgia because I remember my big ass computer in my like pseudo living room in my family house. And this is back in the day where when you wanted to get on the internet, you had to dial up AOL and people couldn't call your house. So you young kids have no idea about what that is. But there was something special about that mouse and keyboard playing backyard baseball. Pablo Torres is an absolute legend. And I'm pretty sure they just made another one. It's coming out or
there's a mobile,
came out or something like
there's
that.
A mobile app.
There's a mobile app, and now they've figured They've figured out how to get it to PS5.
Really?
So it's on PS5, and they also have stated that they're coming out with the editions that have the pros in it later in the.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my God, we're so back.
But like, it was just awesome doing the screwball or the junk balls and your juice going all the way up.
Yeah, the corkscrew pitch. Yeah. I forgot about that. Oh my God.
This list is going to be littered with nostalgia, so I am totally okay. Number 4, backyard baseball. Let's go.
Okay. All right. So maybe that's making me feel a little bit better about my list. Maybe a little unorthodox, but it's young. I've only revealed one of mine. So backyard baseball, 4 for you, 5 for me. So my number 4, this one, VSP Tallman. If he was here, this might be on his list as well. It is Masters Tiger Woods PGA Tour 12. I played a lot of golf games. Like I played a lot of the different golf games. I got the new one. I played PGA 2K for a while, but this Tiger Woods 2012 Masters edition was like peak. I don't know if it was the first time they ever had Masters in a video game or not, but they really leaned heavy into it, and it was a big part of the game. You could tell they spent a lot of time on the graphics, not necessarily the graphics, but like the artwork within it, where it's like they had the trees down, they had the flowers, they had a whole different like interface when you're playing the Masters course versus when you're playing the rest of the courses. And like aside from just the Masters, like it was a really wide course selection and player selection. Now granted, again, this is one where I typically would just create a player and just use my create a player in every game mode. But that's a golf game for you. Like people aren't really typically, as far as like people I play games with, aren't going to just fire it up and be like, yeah, let's play Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson, like an exhibition match. It's like, not really going to do that. But again, like talking 2012, like that's peak Xbox Live. That's like right when parties and all that stuff were rolling out. So, or not really rolling. I think they rolled out probably in 2009, 2010 with Xbox Live parties. But definitely like a game changer as far as golf games. So number 4, Masters, Tiger Woods, PGA 12.
I love that.
That's a great pick. I don't know if it was the first time that they featured the Masters. They might have done it in the original one.
I wouldn't doubt it if they had.
And I'm sure that Augusta put a strike on that very quickly and was like, absolutely not. Which is
you're gonna have to pay us extra.
Yeah, which is why I'm sure we got the Masters game. Great game though.
Yeah, I imagine they probably got a good amount of money for the branding and licensing on that. Because the cover was like a beautiful shot of one of the holes of the Masters. Obviously those very like iconic like white bunkers with the super well manicured grass, and like if you see the Masters course, like it's the Masters. It's one of those iconic courses. But that was my number 4. So now we'll go to Nico's pick number 3 for top 5 video games of all time.
So I, for content's sake, went a little bit off of the beaten path because I know between you and you, we would all list the same games. So I chose Sydney 2000.
Hold on.
An Olympic game?
An Olympic video game.
What?
Was that for like Nintendo Wii? What were you playing on that on?
N64, and you picked country, and then you got to either do individual events or you could do the entire Olympics. You set world records, personal bests, the whole 9, bro.
So wait.
Sitting there smacking A and B to do the breaststroke.
Okay, so Sydney was the Summer Olympics.
Sydney was the Summer Olympics.
So you're doing swimming, you're doing track and field.
Swimming, track and field. I remember specifically the javelin throw was really hard for some reason. But it was, and they had all the Olympians in it. So it was like
that's wild.
Like
Mark Spitz.
Michael Johnson's probably the closest pull, but they had all the Olympians at the time, and I remember Australia was like really good at swimming, so I'd always play with Australia and beat the shit out of my brothers. But
it's very unpatriotic of you.
Sydney, yeah. No, that was for me. That I liked that game because it was one. I think as a kid, even I went, "Who the hell thought of making an Olympic video game?"
That's fair.
I gotta try this out, and I like rented it, and I fell in love with it, and then my parents bought it for me because it was dumb cheap. Because I don't think anybody bought it, but like, yeah, man, that was when they were making video games out of everything, though. Like, you know, you could get a Lion King video game for N64.
Oh yeah.
Okay, bonus round. What's your favorite N64 game of all time?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time.
Oh,
Okay.
100%. Me and my cousin would play the ever living hell out of that every time I'd stay over at their house.
I played the shit out of a Super Nintendo Ninja Turtles game.
That you know what? That might be what
I think
was.
that was
I think
the
it was
one, yeah,
Super Nintendo,
For
not
Turtles
N64.
in Time, yeah.
I never had an N64, so
Really?
that was. I asked for
probably what?
I feel like a lot of people play
GoldenEye,
Super Smash Bros.
GoldenEye, Super
Yeah.
Smash Bros. Are your generic answers. I like without infringing on my list here. That's the tough part, right? But
Don't
like,
infringe. Don't infringe.
I think
Obviously Sydney 2001, but what about 1B?
Koby had a basketball game
Yeah.
Oh, really?
on the N64. Like I think like shaved head Koby,
Because he had it.
like early in career Koby.
No, it was.
Was it Fro?
It was
with the
8
Fro?
Kobe. Fro Kobe.
Yeah, that's what I
'Cause-
mean. That's what I'm saying. Like when his like first 2 years though, before he really grew.
Yeah,
the Fro.
because I had it on the freaking Game Boy Color.
Yeah,
No shit.
Yeah.
yeah. There was the amount of times that I traded for Nick Van Exel purely because Troy didn't like him. You hear me, Troy? It was a spite trade, and it always will be. I like the amount of times that, like, yeah, I played those games ad nauseum. There's no doubt that I knew what I wanted my college degree to be before it was.
NBA courtside.
Is that what
Oh,
it is?
okay, that
Yeah,
sounds
bro.
familiar.
I definitely remember that.
Yeah, I feel like, well, because we're talking sports video games, like, obviously Ken Griffey Jr. Slugfest for N64 was a great one. But if I'm going non-sports for N64 games, I'd be lying if I didn't say it wasn't Harvest Moon 64. Was like my favorite, probably.
What was the other one? I liked. This might have been Super Nintendo too. I can't remember. Star Fox.
Star Fox was
N64 and it was
yeah.
sick as fuck.
yeah.
That is, honestly,
Okay.
that's right up there. Yeah.
All right, hold on. We gotta let's keep rolling.
Yeah, we gotta
Reel it
get back on
in,
track.
reel it back in.
Number 3.
Number 3, Michael Benjamin.
So I'm not going down Nico's route. I just went with my my favorite ones. I will not be surprised if some of these are on your guys' list as well. But we're getting into my favorite sport, the sport of basketball, and we're going to the streets. NBA Ballers with Dwight Howard. Hell no. Are you kidding me? That was one of the worst games ever. It's NBA Street Volume 2.
Damn,
Come
bro,
on.
I thought you were.
Did you?
Bro, he brought out NBA Ballers.
I was gonna
remember
walk
that
out of
game,
the
bro?
room.
I do. That game was actually not that
It was
bad.
okay, but comparative to what NBA Street Volume 2 did, creating your own player, those games that have really deep game modes with create your own player where you can go to different parks in different cities in America, across the world as well, and you have different eras of Michael Jordan as well, like Magic, just great players, and sick street ball moves that are just not possible until people started making them possible because of that game. Like, it truly was a revolutionary video game, especially growing up. Probably I must have been 13, 14 around that time when it came out, and the soundtrack might be the best sports video game soundtrack that was ever created. So that one will always live in infamy. NBA Street Volume 2, number 3.
Was that? Forgive me for not knowing the name of the song, but is that the one where the title track was?
Yeah.
I
I reminisce.
I reminisce. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best of the NBA Street ones. And I'm surprised, honestly. Like, I should have. I didn't go the Niko route. I should have. That would be in my top 10 for sure. Because, like, Volume 2 was, like, prime. And, like, the game breakers where it's, like, between the legs, around the back, off the backboard. Between the legs, off the back. Like, just like.
Yeah, and you're fucking dunking it 6 times in between your
Yeah. Oh, my God. Iconic. Like, that was such. I played the shit out of that game for on original Xbox and probably PlayStation 2 as well. But, wow. Honestly, in that same vein, my number three. Top video game all time.
Sports video game
all time. Thank you. NFL Street Volume 2.
Honestly,
Wow,
what a banger! Running with Ricky Williams on the
Ricky?
wall,
Ricky
bro.
on the wall, the between the legs pass, like the football. Like I bought one of those footballs at Target that had like it was like a skinnier football with like the spiral of like orange and black and white, and like I think there was a red and black and white one as well. Dude, those NBA and NFL Street games, like I played the shit out of them, and it was like a fun break from like the simulation style games where it's like it honestly did. Like I think that's another one that's probably honorable mention for me is like NFL Blitz, the arcade game, where it kind of had that like similar vibe where it's just kind of like big hits, big comical hits, and like running, hurdling, chucking, dancing. Oh my god, I can't even talk about it. And like the fields were crazy too, because one of them was like a back alley. Like the wall runs, like you mentioned, was like crazy part of that game. So I think I hate to be like clouded, like feel like I'm clouded with nostalgia here on my list, but yeah, I'm going to NFL Street Volume 2.
That's totally all right. That's what makes them our greatest, Chris.
Absolutely. What are we at, 2 now?
Number two.
Number 2.
Both of my picks have actually been mentioned.
Ooh.
Number 2 for me is NFL Blitz.
No, nobody's mentioned.
I mentioned it, but it was an honorable
Oh,
mention.
okay.
Yeah.
The
So
arcade game, like
OG
the stick-
no, like
Blitz?
the N64
the console version. Yeah.
Cordell Stewart at the helm for the fucking Steelers. You hit Z on the turbo.
Cordell,
You
dang.
put the head through somebody. It was
Jerome
that,
Bettis.
Yeah, bro. That game was. It was just, and I think you kind of hit on it, Chris. You just kind of got lost in it. It was the very few like non-simulation like sports games I played, and yeah, there was just something to be said about like, oh well, I just committed defensive pass interference. No one threw a flag, and I speared the dude into the next stadium. Like that's fucking sweet. So yeah, there was a little bit of a love of the after aggression for Blitz, but Blitz would be my number 2.
Dang.
That's a good 2.
That's a great 2.
That's a good 2.
Gosh, yeah. Even the arcade one, man. Like, I feel like arcade bars have made a big comeback or have had a larger presence over the past couple of years. Unfortunately, except for Level 1, rest in peace, in downtown Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a lot of prevalence. And whenever I go to an arcade bar, it's always in there. And that's the first place that I go to.
Wait,
that and NBA Jam.
Level 1 closed down?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
They're in Chandler now.
Oh, they moved.
Chandler Fashion.
Okay, so they're still alive. Thank God.
Oh, I know what place you're talking about in Chandler Fashion. I don't think it's the same, but
It's not the same one.
no, it's like Level 1 was like a smaller, like kind of.
Yeah, no, that's the big like bowling alley place. Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
Level 1 was like a legit. They had a bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was like
Yeah.
it was like the size of a normal bar, but
Yeah,
like,
pretty much. All right. So number 2, we're still sticking with basketball. You guys are gonna know what my next 2 are because we've already talked about them earlier at when we were hanging out before. But this one is the greatest basketball game that has ever come out. It's NBA 2K11. The first time that Michael Jordan found himself graced on a cover. Yeah, LeBron's the GOAT, but Michael Jordan will always be my GOAT just because we're living in nostalgia world right now, Chris. I grew up watching the man. I remember going to America West Arena with a Space Jam figurine of Michael Jordan, watching him play on the Chicago Bulls. You'll never get me to say that Michael Jordan is not my GOAT. But bringing him back into the game, getting a lot more licensing of legends for the first time in a long time for a sports video game. And it was basically, we had talked about the tail end of NBA Live before they really completely stopped and never made games again. And 2K took a chokehold on what we see now. Now, I've said this before too. The last 2K that I really played was the one with Kyrie Irving on it. So I'm not the same kind of fan as I once was, but the true basketball aspect of playing that game and the tight controls really consumed me to the point where I think I put in 20 to 30 days worth of hours into that game and just lived on that on my Xbox 360. And I'll never forget making a franchise. It was right after LeBron had went to the Heat. and I traded for Josh Smith, and I had like it's just this stupid stellar team because that was when Jay Smooth was probably my favorite player in the league too.
Wait, was your franchise as the Suns?
No, I was the Heat.
You were the Heat. Okay.
So I traded for Josh Smith, and then I think I traded for like Jeff Teague or something. I might not. I don't think it was Jeff Teague. I probably just say Jeff Teague because he won't shut the hell up. He's on everything. I still know I had Mario Chalmers as my backup because he could shoot. But yeah, I think we went like 78-4. Because like you, Chris, I know when you do your franchises, you play every single game. Like you don't really sim that much.
Yeah.
When I did that, I played every game, and I think I played like 5 seasons worth with that team.
Wow,
that
okay, that makes sense on the play time. Yeah,
so it was a lot, but 2K11, greatest basketball game.
That's
of all time.
really good. That'd probably be in my top 10. It is in my honorable mentions list. Since we were talking about N64 games and sports games, I'm coming up with a short honorable mentions list here. Snowboard Kids. For N64?
No.
You guys never played Snowboard Kids?
Well, I didn't have an N64.
Oh, okay,
I only ever played it at like my cousin's or a friend's house. So.
Oh, okay. Wow.
No.
I only had like SSX Tricky.
That was what I was thinking of. I was about to write down SSX Tricky, but then I remembered Snowboard Kids. They made 2 of them.
Do you remember 1080?
Iconic.
I remember 1080.
1080.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
The snowboard game that I think we probably played the most was 1080. You got on and be like 1080.
That was a PlayStation game, right?
No, that was a 64 game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I could have been a PlayStation 2, but
probably was PlayStation 2 as well.
Yeah. Damn, snowboard video games though. I've not played a bad snowboarding video game.
No, they're fun.
Snowboarding games, motocross games, like they had a run where like ATV games are coming out, and those are fucking fun.
That was one of the few games I had on my PSP. That and SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 that we pulled up.
Classic game.
That's honestly also on my honorable mention.
Well, I want you to keep going with the honorable mentions, but within the past like 3-4 years, did you guys see? I don't know what it's called, but it's like something Riders, where it's basically like it's an extreme sports game, but you can do all of it. You can do mountain biking, you can do like ATV, you can do.
I think I have seen
like
this.
wingsuits.
Yeah.
And it's basically like you can get thrown into a mountain with just like mountain bike trails and go to like random spots and do like head-to-head races against people, or you can go onto mountains when there's snow and snowboard and do races and that kind of stuff. That looked so cool. I remember when they first came out with it.
I don't know if it's the same game you're talking about, but I did play a game like that on Game Pass recently, where I was like doing mountain bike races with people. But I didn't play it enough to.
Surprise me if it was on Game Pass, to be honest with you.
I probably just didn't play it enough to actually get to unlocking like the other parts.
Riders Republic.
Okay, that maybe is not.
I have heard of this.
That might not be what I was playing. I think I was playing a game called
insane.
Downhill on Game Pass.
That would make sense.
Where it's like it's all downbook like bicycle races.
Bicycle races.
Now, if we want to play a game all together, because we were talking about getting, I'm down to play this game, dude.
Well, we do want to start doing like integrating potentially some gaming streams where we're all playing something while we stream. That'd be fun too. So we'll talk offline. That's a good idea. So what are we at right now, Mike? What am I giving my number 2?
Did you have any other honorable mentions?
NBA Live 2007 was my other honorable mention.
With Dwayne Wade on the cover?
I think that had Tracy McGrady on the cover. I think Dwayne Wade was 2006.
Yeah, Wade was 6, right?
Oh, yeah.
Carter was.
And
yeah, I feel like
Carter was.
We did this.
4.
Carmelo was 05.
And Melo was 5. Yeah.
Melo was the missing one. Yeah.
See, I think it was the 2007 with Tracy McGrady. Because honestly, 2006 was really good too. But 2007 was the one I like truly was like. And that was the last NBA Live I played because 2K8. I like dove headfirst into 2K8 after that and never looked back. I only played 2K8 from then on.
Was 2K
from then on?
Was 2K8 the one with Garnett on the cover?
Oh,
I want to say Chris Paul.
Oh, in New Orleans.
In New Orleans, Chris Paul on the cover.
That's fine.
Because then Kevin Garnett was 2009.
I think 2K.
And then 2010 was Kobe, and then 2011 was Jordan. 12 was Jordan.
2K8 was Chris Paul.
Yeah, I think that was my first venture into 2K as well.
Yeah, and that's when they took over. But
now, those are good trivia questions.
That's true. Put
Who
that in
was
my
on the
back
cover
pocket. Yeah. That's true. Covers of video games. I think I've done a few of those. We'll have to bust out that one for who was on the cover of NCAA 14. But I'll have to do like from like a year from now, so you guys have enough time.
Something Robinson.
Denard Robinson.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Number 2.
Number 2 for me. This is let us know in the comments if this counts as a sports video game. I feel like it kind of blurs the lines a little bit. Thug 2, Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
That's a sports video game. Yeah,
it's in the Olympics, right?
All Tony Hawk's
skateboarding
games
is a
we
sport,
consider sports games.
And again, it's kind of similar in a sense to like the Blitz and the Bigs. You ever play the Bigs?
Yep.
Like those kind of like Slugfest. Like my God, no, it wasn't Slugfest. Was it Slugfest? The ones where you could like beat the shit out of each other.
That's why I didn't think that King Griffey was called what it was. But yeah, I think it is MLB Slugfest.
It is MLB Slugfest, right? Completely different games, but they were both called Slugfest. Yeah. But it kind of like as a skateboarding video game, it like kind of was on that borderline of like real skate moves, but also like you're dropping in off a skyscraper into a bowl and you're doing like a 18 whatever like crazy amount of spins and like jumping from helicopters, but like
breaking through glass, to get through secret tapes and shit. Yeah.
So it bordered on that realistic, level. But for a skateboarding video game, like that was perfect. Like the skate video game, Skate 1 and Skate 2 were cool because it was like realistic, like ground skateboarding. But what's like really brought skateboarding into the mainstream was the half pipe and like the vert stuff. It wasn't so much the street skating. And wish Tallman was here because many people might not know Tallman was a huge skateboarder growing up, and like I've seen him do some pretty dope stuff with a skateboard. Like, but he wasn't doing like Eaton Jagger, like dropping in on half pipes doing 900s or anything. But like, so anyway, those games were great. You had Bam Margera, you had Tony Hawk, obviously, Rodney Mullins, like all these great skateboarders that were entertaining growing up. And like obviously Bam, I think Thug 2 was especially like right around the time Viva La Bam was super popular.
Yeah, it was.
And so they had like a direct tie-in almost with a lot of the missions and stuff, right, with that. So
wasn't Don Vito in that game?
I think he was, yeah. I think he was, honestly. And honestly, like Tony Hawk Underground, the first one was really fucking good, but I think the second one was just slightly above it. So that's why I put them as I couldn't put both of them in my top 5. That would just be unfair. So I guess Tony Hawk Underground, honorable mention. Tony Hawk Underground 2 is my number 2. Wow, so we just got one more left, huh? Niko,
top spot.
What is your number 1?
I did this based on what game I think I probably played the most as a kid. Dude, I put in a lot of hours into King Griffey Jr. Slugfest. A lot of hours. Specifically because that was the first game where the Diamondbacks were a playable team. And that was like a really big deal. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so much so that the roster was not labeled with actual accurate players. It was generated player names and like.
Except for who? I thought you said
Andy Fox, I think, was the one that snuck
was
in
Richie
there.
Sexton?
Richie Sexton was years later.
He was
later. Okay,
yeah. But yeah, no, I just remember, I mean, and you guys talked about it earlier, playing every single game. I played multiple summers where I played every game of an MLB season on N64. Just every day grinding like 2-3 of them. Before Little League, grinding out a game with the Anaheim Angels, like it was
Anaheim Angels.
Yeah, dude, it was. I mean, it was, and I also get very nostalgic about it because you were trading for guys like Gary Sheffield and Raul Mondesi and Devon White. Like there were like names,
Vladimir Guerrero.
Yeah, that were like attached to it that like rang true to like my like baseball viewing as a kid. So, not to mention like. That was, I mean, like, before baseball games would come out every year. So, like,
True.
King Griffey Jr. baseball came out, and then it was like, okay, now make the Mets roster look like the Mets roster. Do whatever you got to do to make that happen. It was very intricate. It was very, I loved it. And King Griffey Jr. was my favorite baseball player of all time. Yeah. So, it's him, Randy, and no one even close. But the fact that like he had his own game and everything, I was a sucker.
Yeah, I think Slugfest I definitely played. I had it, played a lot. I don't think I had played it nearly as much as you did, but it did help my appreciation for Ken Griffey Jr. I think Backyard Baseball when they started introducing the pros. That's when I was like, yeah, and that's goofy, right? Because that's like, obviously, you talk about N64 graphics, like that's not like an accurate depiction of Ken Griffey Jr. either. But obviously, Backyard Baseball is a true like cartoon version. Yeah, pixelated box Ken Griffey Jr. versus like a full-on cartoon Ken Griffey Jr. But yeah, I was a kid. I'm a little bit younger than you guys, so I was a little kid. But Mike, I guess that leaves you with your number one.
And it's funny that Niko talked about in his favorite game, he would like try and create the rosters to match up and that kind of stuff. Because I did this for this game years after this game because they never made another one. And it's ESPN NFL 2K5. To this day, I'll have dreams, guys, about playing this game. There's a lot of different connotations that come to my mind when I think about this game specifically as well. Like it was the reason I started to like TO. It was the reason that, I'll never forget the time that I met Donovan McNabb. It was, it was the first time Larry Fitzgerald was in a football game, like there's just so many different aspects that I think of when I think of ESPN NFL 2K5. And obviously the presentation, Niko was talking about how they had the, pre-game kind of hype up, the freaking halftime show, post-game show where they're using the actual clips from the game. Madden, it's time to go. Like how have we not gotten to this point yet? And we are 20 years past removed.
It's gotten worse. How has it gotten worse?
It's gotten lazy because when you have a monopoly on something, you just don't
when
care.
you don't have anything pushing you, you can do whatever the hell you want. But, and I'll go back to what I was talking about. I spent years after that game physically going in and changing rosters to update them to match each season and creating players for new rookies and that kind of stuff because I couldn't get away from it. It was just the greatest simulation football game I've ever played. And I thought there was rumblings the past couple of years that the licensing was coming up, so they were thinking about doing it again. Because I think at one point they tried to do like an all-pro football in like 2011 where they had John Elway. They had like legends.
It was like unbranded.
Doug
yeah, but it was
Lawrence
unbranded,
Taylor,
fake teams, that kind of stuff. I could never truly get completely immersed into those kind of games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, greatest, not only football game, but greatest sports game of all time. ESPN NFL 2K5.
Great show.
Yeah, honestly, like that's such a great pick. Like the biggest thing that I remember from that is like the create a play. Like you could down to the routes where the linemen were lining up if the quarterback was under center or in shotgun. Like you don't get that level of customization and presentation, to your point, in Madden, and it's so disheartening because Madden's even eliminated a lot of the stuff that made that game fun in like, especially in like the career mode. Like they've watered it down so much. And they're like, oh, we got this game engine, and now it's like their big selling point for the one coming up is you can do the Saquon Barkley hurdle. Aren't you satisfied?
Fuck about the hurdle.
No, Niko, you're supposed to want to pay $70.
No, I want you to show me a fucking clip screen of me shaking my agent's hand. That's what I fucking want.
Well, I
want the cheaper option.
All you get is Saquon Barkley.
Dude, they're hardcore selling weather for this Madden.
Yeah. The wind is going to make a difference.
I mean, there's a reason I have not bought a Madden since Rob Gronkowski was on the cover. Sorry, it was Odell.
Oh damn.
OBJ, wow.
That was the last time I bought a Madden.
Wow.
Dude, I'm saying if I'm playing a video game and I drop back and I throw a ball over the middle and it gets pushed 5 feet to the right because there's wind, I'm going to fucking throw a controller through a TV. It's a video game, dog.
Yeah.
Make it look like it's raining. Make it look like it's fucking snowing. It doesn't need to affect the ball flight.
It's just
a video game.
It's too much to try and factor in when you're just chilling, trying to unwind, play a few video games, like that. And that's the thing. The changes they're implementing into Madden are things that nobody asked for. Like all we asked for is customization, presentation, and some fun game modes, and they can't fucking do it.
And a deep franchise mode. Like, how do we keep getting that wrong?
Maybe a better player rating system.
Dude, there's been a lot of the Maddens in the last 10 years start to fall apart after like 10 years of franchise mode. Like literally, like I had a
franchise play.
Yeah, I have a franchise mode right now that I was playing because Madden 23 I played as the Cardinals, and I got to a point where for some reason during the offseason I didn't hire an offensive coordinator, and now I'm like, they're like, oh, before you can start the season you have to hire an offensive coordinator. I go to hire an offensive coordinator, there's nobody available to hire, so I literally cannot
stuck in limbo.
Move forward. I'm stuck in limbo,
Yeah.
and that's why I stopped playing Madden, is because like I wanted to, because I didn't buy 24 or 25 because I was just playing Madden 23 and I was happy with my franchise and I was progressing it, and I was like 5-6 years in as the Cardinals, but now because I didn't hire an OC, I can't fucking, and there's none available. They can't even come up with a computer generated Joe Schmo for me to hire who's a 1-star fucking assistant.
What an easy failsafe too.
Bro, it should be the easiest.
But have you guys also seen that stuff? I don't know if it was last year's, but it was within the past 5 years where the new iteration came out, and you know, these YouTubers are kind of doing their deep dive, and they're in practice mode, and they're like, you know, they switch to like the camera so you can see the replay, and they're just like looking at some people like sitting in the crowd, and obviously it's pixelated to hell, but the freaking logo from the previous year's game is on the freaking seating area in the practice facility thing.
Goodness, they just copy paste.
It's the legitimate definition of copy paste. So everybody has talked about that with Madden for years. So it's nice to talk about a true football game that cared about the fans. And it was only $20. So
incredible. What a
you
value.
Can't beat that.
That's a great one.
Fuck off, EA.
So Nico's number one was Ken Griffey Jr. Slugfest. Mike was NFL 2K5. Yep. 2K5. Mine is so unorthodox, guys, and this is niche. This is really niche. I had to go with it. It's an arcade game. Not in a lot of arcades either. It was, I think it was a Sega game, Derby Owners Club World Edition. We're talking horse racing, baby. This is a huge nostalgia play for me. I made Mike and Cody play it a little bit. They know what's good with it. My brother and my whole family, honestly, my brother and my sister and I all played the shit out of this. Guys, I still have my horses to this very day. Like,
holy shit.
Yeah, so Dave & Buster's, that's GameWorks. That top one is GameWorks, but
damn,
a lot of them, like,
GameWorks doesn't even exist
anymore,
anymore,
the ink is like faded off of, it's like heat ink or whatever is faded off of most of those cards. But essentially, for anyone who doesn't know what this game is, when you sit down at the console, you swipe your card, put credits in, and you get one playthrough, and one playthrough gets you to you can create a horse. You pick 2 horses to breed together. If you've played enough, you can insert cards that of horses you've retired to be sires or dames, I think it was called, was the mother horse. And basically you breed 2 horses, and it does the algorithm and spits you out your new horse. And that's what prints out on these new cards is your horse. You go through a training exercise. You pick a food you want to feed it, and that affects the stats, and then you go and do the race. And you have 2 buttons in front of you. You have a whip button and a hold button. And there's a meter that you can only whip it so much before it stops being effective. And you have to pick. There's like 4 different types. There was a front runner, a mid pace, a back half, and a stretch runner. Basically, are you going to come out the gate hot? Are you going to do like a 50% of the race hot? And then, because like horses can't run balls to the wall start to finish. Depending on the length of the race. That's the other thing. There's different lengths. There's like the 1,200 meter sprint. There's like the Kentucky Derby where it's the long like mile race. Guys, I could talk about this for days, but I always did stretch runners. I loved coming from the back of the pack, pounding the whip and coming out from behind and pulling forward and winning. And we're
still talking about the game, Chris?
We are. Well, double entendre, brother.
Dude, okay. I vividly remember one time going to Dave & Buster's and Chris seeing that they had this, what is it called again? Derby
Owners Club.
Derby Owners Club. And him like losing his shit.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
And like we had all, like we went with a group and we all were out playing and doing stuff and that kind of stuff. And you never had to worry about Chris
at the Derby Owners Club.
You knew where to find me.
Knowing where he was, because that's where he was going to be posted for the next 2.5 hours.
Bro, that game, I played that at that GameWorks at Arizona Mills.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the Dave & Buster's as well. I fuck with that game very heavy, and everybody would give me so much shit when I would play it. And I just sat on that little stool.
Yep.
I stared at that big ass screen and I tapped them buttons, brother. I wish I kept my horses. I'd love to know what I named them.
Like one was like the ode to Jacariah.
Yeah.
Shout out Jack.
Shout out Jack. Yeah, Jack played that game with me, probably at Dave and Buster's.
Probably that day.
Probably that day. Yeah, he was easily sitting next to me while I was playing. Crazy time. I actually, funny story, to not talk about it too much, but I had a bunch of horses that I was super happy with, and like at GameWorks one time. This is gonna make sense. At GameWorks one time, there was an older gentleman who had literally like you know how people collect like basketball cards and Pokemon cards. He had one of those binders with like card sleeves filled with horses to like race and breed with.
Chris saw into the future.
I did, but he let me use one of his cards to breed with. I know it sounds weird.
Yo.
But it was like a rare like because they were like specialty like super rare skins where it was like a panda skin, a zebra skin, a tiger skin.
Hold on, let me get this right, Chris. You met a random man in an arcade to get a card to breed with him.
This is like
I didn't breed with him. I bred with his horse.
This is like the freaking Labubu of video games 10 years ago. Chris found the secret rare.
Dude, it was honestly. But anyway, the whole reason for me bringing that up is I had all these dope horses, was killing it every time I stepped into the GameWorks. I was a baller. Everyone envied me. Someone stole my wallet in Fargo, North Dakota that had all my favorite horses in it.
Yo.
Yeah.
The balls on that, man.
I
what
left
a horse
it,
thief.
It fell out of my pocket in a movie theater, and then the kid who was sweeping up the theater, like I had like probably like $60 in it because I was on like visiting my grandparents up there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep this wallet." Dude, and it just happened. I don't think he wanted my horses. I think he wanted the $60 in my.
He opened that and saw all of those beautiful horses and was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Probably saw like my 7th grade ID from fucking Pueblo Middle School and like
this one's called Cordell's Jockstrap. I'm definitely keeping this wallet.
He started hustling kids at the local GameWorks.
Honestly, I hope he did. I hope he used those horses and got. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, that's mine. I could. Fuck you, Niko. But I could talk about Derby Owners Club for a long time.
I love that game. I'm just giving you shit.
I know. It's out of context. It sounds.
It does sounds
pretty crazy.
It's late,
but that was fun for episode 40. Mike, that was a good suggestion. Doing the list. I think we nailed it. Maybe one of these days on a live stream we can have Tallman fire off his top 5. Yeah, I don't know if he has top 5 sports video games. He's weird. He doesn't play many sports video games like that.
Rust.
Is Rust? Yeah, Rust would be a Rust, PUBG,
Rust,
Call of Duty, and a little Madden. He's played all of his would probably be some variation of Madden and Tiger Woods games.
There you
go. But maybe we're not giving him enough credit. We'll have to ask him. But fellas, this was a whole lot of fun. Niko, again, appreciate you being the second guest of all time on the Heat Check podcast. I keep talking about it. I think I've talked about it on the air. We want to expand our equipment setup so we can have more in-person guests for our in-studio recording. It's just a little bit limited. We're at about a 3 microphone maximum right now. But luckily or maybe unluckily, depending on how you look at it, VSP Tallman was out of town. So when one of us is out of town, we get a fill in. But fellas, We've gone pretty long, so we'll get to the outros here. I'll pass it over to Niko first. What you got? Anything on your mind before we get out of here?
I feel like I've got a pretty good platform to view to really voice my mind on Arizona sports tonight. Honestly, man, I'm. It's that weird time of the year, right? We don't really have much going on outside of baseball, but. It's not too early to start getting a little bit excited about the Cardinals. Forever the Cardinals optimist, I do believe, but I think that like this season I think we might be good. I don't know. I think we might be fucking good, so that'll be fun to look forward to. Other than that, man, we're really starting to get rolling into the back half of the summer, which means ASU football's coming up. That'll be fun. We're gonna start to head into the cooler months. We got a while.
No,
the cooler months.
Unfortunately,
but, we're trucking. It'll be fun. Hopefully the Diamondbacks can kind of figure this shit out. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's just a beautiful day to be an Arizona sports fan. I guess another gorgeous day.
It could be worse. I think there are reasons. I don't mean it to be like the word of the day, but there is reasons to be optimistic here. with the Cardinals coming back, the NFL coming back in a couple months. Of course, we're gonna go through the next 2 searing months of the summer. But we're about what, Mike? What did you say? 6 to 8 weeks away from our fantasy football draft here.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
Do I finally get to hoist the championship above my head?
Chris, you have it somewhere.
It's probably downstairs.
I'm gonna raise that thing so high in the air.
Well, you got to let him take it home. He's the
He
champ.
can have it. Yeah. I don't think Sabrina's engraved it, but he can take it.
Oh no, you get it when
I'll
start
I'll
the
get it.
season.
Yeah, you'll
when
get
I
it for the
start
season. Yeah, you'll get it for the season. Because I think AZ Chris won it the last year, right?
Yeah.
The
year before.
The year before, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm coming for a repeat, boys.
Fuck
Good
you.
luck. It's hard.
All right, Mike.
You know what, guys? I'm proud of my Michigan State man. How about that?
Ooh.
I'll say it.
Ooh.
We are cautiously optimistic, and I'm hopeful that I'm going to be able to get to see some good Phoenix Suns basketball next year. There's still a lot of work to be done, but Diamondbacks just get healthy. Try and keep pushing along. Baseball's here to stay. I mean, there's always little tidbits we can say about the Valley, but other than that, I'm blessed to be here with these two gentlemen tonight. Niko, thank you so much for joining us for episode 40, man. Chris, I can't believe we've been doing this for this long. We miss you, VSP Tallman. We can't wait to see you next time, but I know that you're having a great time in a little bit cooler of climates right now, so we'll let him enjoy his time. But Mr. Patrick, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Mike. Glad you were here, man. Glad we went through this, broke down the Suns. We're going to talk on PTO. Niko and I are coming back with Valley of the Suplex very soon, so be on the lookout. Make sure you follow us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, basically anywhere where there's social media. You can find Valley Sports Plug at AZ_VSP. You can get on to our link tree in the description below and find out all of our links there. Of course, we upload all of our videos here for our in-person podcast on YouTube, which is Valley Sports Plug on YouTube. Also on every single audio streaming platform for podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you happen to use any, those are like the big two. I've never heard anyone be like, yo, go to Podcast Central.
I do
to listen to your
Samsung.
podcast. It's the Samsung.
I listen to Fizzer.
Hey, if you do, hey, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Just please let us know why you don't use Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I mean, regardless, neither here nor there. Thank you guys so much. And we'll go live every Tuesday for a live stream at 7 p.m. Arizona time. So make sure you tune in. Available for replay immediately after we're finished and audio only next day, again, on all the podcast streaming services. But Niko, thank you once again for being here. Episode 40, huge milestone. We'll be back for episode 41 in July. But for Michael Benjamin, it's Neeks, and myself, Chris Patrick. We'll see you next time. Peace.